All right, everyone, and welcome to Sharing with Shellshock, the podcast where I usually have multiple topics. We talk about different things. We are back. It is me, ShellshockPrime, and it's good to be back here. This week's topic is all about why we love anime. We got 4 guests tonight, all of which who have been on this show before, and I'm really excited to be back here. We had a bit of an abrupt end back in June since, I couldn't come up with any more topics, but we got a lot more for the rest of Season 2, and we're back with anime. So joining me first is Sylverstone Khandr. Silver?
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's good to see you guys all again.
Yeah, it's good to have you back on again as well. Next up is TheEpicMan, who you've been on once before.
Yes, I have. Thank you for putting me here for a lovely anime episode that I would love to talk about more of.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Next up is our bear boy, HitoRetroGaming.
Hello. How's it going?
It's good to have you back on, and it's also good to have you back on as well, Zykrul, because you've been on before too.
Yep, good to be back. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So, Before we get started on all the anime talk, let's remind everybody just who we are, starting with you, Silver.
Right, sure. Who am I again? But what's going on, everybody? Sylverstone Khandr here, author, streamer, game dev, multi-potentialite, human. I haven't been streaming too much in a while, but I'm still here. I'm still doing my best, to go through the days. I normally stream my Nintendo games and PC games on my channel over at silver.stream. Looking to do a lot more in the future. Just got a play date, which I'm just mostly just showing off, hey, look, I got a play date. But generally, if you see me any bonfire, stream in the past for party animals recently, usually Mario Kart, Smash, or other games. It's me.
Yep. All right. So, Epic, what about you?
Hello, everyone. This is TheEpicMan speaking here, and I do streaming of a variety of games with Nintendo, PlayStation, and on PC as well. Mainly, I would do for more Splatoon content, but I haven't been streaming on WoW-wise as well. But I am going to be planning on coming back just so I can get back into the hang of things, because I've been dealing with school and work and stuff, so that's why I've been busy a lot. But hey, I am an enjoyer of anime as well. I love watching them and collecting with certain mangas that I like to do with just to, read them and enjoy certain series like with Miss Nagatoro and, High School of the Dead and all sorts of other ones I like. So, yeah, that's about me.
Yeah. All right. Now, what about you, Hito?
Hey. I'm HitoRetroGaming, your Bear Boy host, and I'm making a comeback to streaming once again on Monday, so it's good to have a little precursor here and always a fun time to hang with everyone here. I usually stream retro games, as it's in the name, and I treat my community basically like it's one giant sleepover where we just play games together, watch games together, and have a good old fun time. And one of the big things that most people don't see out of me, since I'm usually gaming on Twitch, is I'm a big anime fan and have been called the encyclopedia of anime every now and then. So that works in my favor here, and I'm happy to be here and talk about why I love anime.
Mm-hmm. Zykrul, how about you?
I guess everyone else a huge fan of anime. Watched it these last 4 days. It'll be great to talk about it with the rest of y'all with us.
Yep. All right. And we got a lot to talk about tonight in regards to anime. There's multiple parts of this topic that I'm looking forward to talking about. The first is a 2-part question. The first part is, what was the first anime you remember watching? And the second part is, what channels did you watch anime on when you were a kid? Starting with you, Silver.
Oh boy, I'm in the hot seat first. Wonderful. So, the first anime that I remember watching, it's kind of hard to pin down because, there's a point where, you don't realize that, the cartoons that you watch were considered as, anime. I know that, for me, it was definitely early Toonami. Dragon Ball Z, Zoids, Hamtaro. A lot of like those shows were kind of like my go around. I say like canonically like my first one is Dragon Ball Z, but honestly, I think because this does count, my first anime would actually be a Pokemon. Pokemon would be my first anime because I remember watching that on every morning on Kids WB. Just watching the episodes like before I went to school, and really just getting into the world of Pokemon because like I feel like I knew about the games, but I feel like I was like very interested in the first couple seasons of the show. So that was how like
Pokemon.
my first real start. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, it is an anime. Like again, like I didn't see that as an anime first, but in terms of like what show I first saw as like anime, I think I'd go to Dragon Ball Z. That's like my go-to.
Yep.
But yeah, generally for like anime, like I'd watch it on again Kids WB, with a lot of localized stuff they brought over in Kids WB. Of course, Toonami was like the big one for a lot of people. Like a lot of shows that they brought over were pretty pretty standard on that. And actually, I remember like when I was really getting into the anime, like when I moved to Jamaica as a kid, they would actually have it like syndicated on local television during the cartoon hours that they would have. So they'd bring stuff from Cartoon Network, they'd bring stuff from Nickelodeon, and they would have stuff generally from all of translated anime. So Dragon Ball Z was like extremely popular at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, because Dragon Ball Z was everywhere. Everybody watched it, and I felt that it got bigger once it went to Cartoon Network.
Yeah, for real.
And especially when they had to change dubs, but I'll talk more about that soon. Epic, what about you? What is the first anime you remember watching, and what were the channels that you remember watching anime on when you were a kid?
Well, it would be somewhat similar to Silver's, where I watched a lot in the Cartoon Network channel, but mostly in Toonami when they were airing animes at the time. I remember watching Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z, but I think I remember mostly with just Dragon Ball, the very first one. But it was when I used to live back in Dominican Republic with my family. I remember it was airing in Cartoon Network, and I think it was in Spanish. I'm pretty sure, where I just watched it when it was in the Spanish language at the time. But yeah, I think it was just that. But I do watch a lot of Pokemon when I was a kid, mostly with the first season, and then I pretty much kind of sporadically watched some of the episodes or most of the episodes in other seasons until like I stopped watching it when they were doing black and white in the games, and then I stopped with that. But then I watched some other ones like where it was on 4Kids TV with Sonic X and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Even though that was a cartoon, but still that's like part of the program. But I also watched the first episode of One Piece when that was in there for some reason. And never ever will I ever forget the theme song that everyone knows and loves, the rap song of the
no.
Just the absolute monstrosity that I wasn't even like. I mean, I was like enjoying the song, but at the same time, I was like, "Is this really how it is? How this was it in Japan?"
The rap made it seem goofy as hell.
Yeah,
it was super goofy, but I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed it nonetheless. Like it was funny, but of course I didn't even catch up with it until later on. But because considering right now I am going to be starting on, I just started watching One Piece, so I can catch up with everyone. But that's going to be a while. So but anyway, but the thing is, it was Pokemon with Dragon Ball and One Piece and Sonic X. I feel like those were mostly with my first times, but I never even started watching anime per se, like because I've been watching mostly cartoons throughout my entire childhood until I went to high school, where my friend introduced me to watching more animes that I should look into. And that's why I consider it to be my sort of quote unquote first anime experience, where I just dove into it, going into the rabbit hole of seeing all these amazing shows that they were coming out. I think it was I want to say 2017 or 18. I think it was 2016. No, actually, that was way before.
They all blend together.
Yeah, like it was way before. Yeah, they all do. But I know in fact because it was like I think it was like before them 2016. It was around. No, actually, no, it was 2013 because that's before I was graduating. But yes, my friend introduced me to watching one of the most craziest shows that people watched back then, where had a lot of conversations. Was Sword Art Online. If you guys
Sure,
know,
online.
Wow.
Good old SAO.
it was
Yep.
before everyone go crazy about the whole thing because it was new at the time where it was like, oh my god, this is the most epic thing where you die in a game, you die in real life, and kind of thing. Because even though that thing was not even uniquely new, because we had that thing before with other movies
With
and TV
Dot Hack.
Dot
With
hack.
Dot hack.
Dot hack.
Yeah. Dot hack was like the progenitor of like isekai, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that is the one that really got me into anime, but I will still say the ones before with Pokemon and Dragon Ball and One Piece and Sonic X were actually my first ones back in the day when I was a kid. So there you go.
All right. Sounds good.
Sweet.
All right. So, Hito, now my question for you is, what was your first anime you remember watching? And what channels do you watch anime on when you were a kid?
So about that, I believe that like when we were kids, we didn't even know we were watching anime until we actually knew what the art style was to even begin with, to know what anime is, and that's a big thing to just remember. If we're gonna talk about like first animes, Pokemon and Digimon, along with Sailor Moon and Card Captors, were a big thing for me. And that was during the time that everything was on WB/Fox Kids, not Fox Kids.
Yes.
It went straight into Toonami, Adult Swim, and everything for that matter. Yu Yu Hakusho was a big one for me, and then I got into manga a little bit with Shonen Jump. This is how I learned about. This is actually how I learned about One Piece, Naruto, Yu-Gi-Oh having a season 0, which was ridiculous. I think my first copy of Shonen Jump. They were doing the game that was basically about Tamagotchis in Yu-Gi-Oh during that one episode. Ridiculous stuff, guys. They even had a D&D episode. It was great. But I got it. Currently to this day, I'm actually caught up with One Piece because I read it through the manga. Since I was like 8, so that's kind of a big thing that went around. But first animes for me were through Fox Kids and WB, because at the time that's when Card Captors was released. Cartoon Network had Deke for a little bit, so we had Sailor Moon. No, they weren't cousins, just saying.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. They were not cousins.
Yeah.
Right.
But all in all together, Cartoon Network was a big one. And then I think anime truly started flourishing around the 2000s for me.
Yeah.
Because I was already watching Yu Yu Hakusho and Dragon Ball Z. And most people don't know that Dragon Ball Z came out first in America before even Dragon Ball even got released.
Yep.
Which was stupid.
Yep.
Just very stupid. We skipped over this man being a child. Cool. But no, the biggest one for me in the 2000s that literally made me lose my mind was waking up at midnight and watching Inuyasha for the first time on its first day release ever. It was in the year of 2000, literally straight 2000. And it was around New Year's that it came out, funny enough. Like, when the New Year started, they literally released this. It was around New Year's. Inuyasha was the big one for me. And then Shaman King happened. Later, because of Foxbox, which actually made a good opening number, unlike what they did to One Piece. Just saying. But Foxbox, Cartoon Network, and the WB specifically, because WB had Pokemon originally before it went to Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, there was one more channel, Fuse TV, for the Street Fighter anime.
All right. Yeah.
Before Fuse TV became Fuse TV, there was the Street Fighter anime, the Street Fighter 2 one, and I remember Ken versus Vega and how bloody it was.
Yeah, I remember
And I
that.
had to get dragged away from the screen.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, animation, oh, it's for kids. But the moment you see blood, violence, gore, cursing, and a lot of the sex and all that stuff, they're like, nope, not for kids. Like for all these, it depends on the anime though. But yeah,
Wait, talk about it. That's just ketchup.
Which ironic thing. I don't know why we were dragging little. Listen, the thing is, I don't understand why little Hito had got taken away from the screen, but then it was okay for me to watch Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees killing people.
yeah.
But, but that was fine, right, Mom?
Well,
Retro.
It's fine.
Well, let's
it's
just-
fine.
let's just say it's okay if they're able to watch something that they like, but it's not okay for them to watch something that violent. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. But anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyway, okay. So for Zykrul, what was the first anime you remember watching, and what channels did you watch anime when you were a kid?
Said before, I'm just echoing here. Didn't know it was anime, but I was 3. Didn't even know anything outside my backyard, but Noozles on Nickelodeon
Yep.
with the koala bears and the Sandy Gill, the magical down under koala wall land.
Yeah, I remember that show because, fun fact, one of the koalas was actually would go on to voice Angelica Pickles and Rugrats.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
I know.
outside of that, growing up, again, same thing. 4 kids, WB. I lived in a small town, so we really only had WB and Fox and stuff for that. I didn't get Cartoon Network until my high school days in my town. Because it was
Local channels.
Yeah, it was the local channels. Because back in the day, the popular channels just tended to be in the bigger cities because that's where the money was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and cable and stuff like that. Yeah.
With cable and all that, so I didn't get any of those later, which is fine. I still did not miss out on the anime on that still, but outside of that, I pretty much sailed the seas for my shows. So it would be
Ahoy there.
Sail the 70s.
Ahoy there, matey.
for all my shows there. So
Mm-hmm.
but what really got me into it, it was again, like I knew like Pokemon, all that Yu-Gi-Oh, Cardcaptor. I knew that was anime, but it didn't really sink in until I went to my local rental stores. I had the VHS tapes of anime.
Yeah.
And one of the first ones that got me into it is Nazca. Not really well known. You can see clips of it in the intro of Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and then from there it went to Trigun and Cowboy Bebop, and it went from there into like Chobits, Clanad. Even though Clanad was the visual novel I went through first before the show, because I was years later. And trying to think what else. It's I guess it said it's a blur of it. But yeah, no, Chobits. Because I don't want to list the animes that were years later, but yeah, it just went from there. I have a Full Metal Panic.
Full Metal Panic.
Yeah, Evangelion. And speaking of adult-oriented anime that I watched at 15, that my parents somehow gave me the okay because they just thought I was anime, but it was Ninja Skulls.
It's all cartoons, right? No.
Yeah, right?
It's okay. It's just animation. Nothing bad.
You know, for kids.
For kids, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Like, just watching anime in general was wild back in the day, especially the 90s. Like, the 80s, it was super obscure, but the 90s, we were in a transitional point where we were moving from the obscurity of how anime was presented in the United States and to a lesser to an extent Canada, but also like we were moving to the mainstream. We weren't quite there until like the late 90s, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I put it. Yeah, late 90s, early aughts. I will say, again, I watched it just as anime. I didn't get into it. Was my first anime movie was in theaters, and it was Princess Mononoke.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Ooh, lovely.
I remember that because it was on Stars. I remember like they brought that over.
Yep.
Because with we watched it, yeah, dubbed. It had Gillian Anderson as the voice of
Was it Lady Eboshi?
yeah, Lady Eboshi,
Yeah.
the wolf, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. and sound. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, honestly, for me, like, I guess I'll talk about mine now, because my perspective, my world of how I actually got into anime was absolutely ridiculous. But, like Zykrul, I watched some of the same shows that he watched when I was a little kid. I remember there was Noozles, there was also, like, The Adventures of the Koala. Both of them were airing back-to-back on Nick Jr. back in the day. But I didn't realize that they were anime. I didn't even know what anime was back then. I just thought they were just cartoons because it was animated, so I thought it was just cartoons. And because back then Nickelodeon, they were trying to get different animations across multiple parts of the world, including Japan. So there were some Japanese animation shows, like some anime that did air on Nickelodeon, but the local channels were where I would normally see all that stuff. I remember there was this one show that I remember watching when I was a little kid on Nick Jr. as well, called The Little Bits, which had there was like these small, tiny human-like creatures that lived in this world. I don't remember too much about it because I was small when I watched it, but it was an anime, and the dub was produced by Saban Entertainment. Saban was, at the time, was known for the most cheesiest, hilariously bad dubs, but you just have to see it to believe it.
I can imagine.
There was even like an anime on Nick Jr. about, which is basically Grimm's Fairy Tale Adventures. I used to watch that as a kid too. Like all those Grimm's Fairy Tale stories, all in anime form, like the whole series.
Interesting.
Yes. But the first two anime series that I remember actually realizing were what anime was Sailor Moon and Ronin Warriors, both of which came out in the United States back in 1995. And not so long after that, we got Dragon Ball Z, but I didn't watch it till later on. But afterwards, the next show that I would watch on regular occasion for me, that was anime based. I've watched a few episodes of Robotech, but I didn't watch all of it. But I've seen a few episodes of Robotech. But in Japan, the actual name is not Robotech, it's Macross. And Macross is a very prolific anime, and the company that did the North American dub for it, Harmony Gold, I had no idea they're still around, and they're an awful company. They refuse to ever give up the rights to it, because the moment that they give up the rights to Robotech / Macross outside of Japan, it's over for them. They have nothing left, because they attempted to do Dragon Ball and back in 1989, and it flopped. So I think it only got a few episodes, and it never really aired until when Funimation took over. But anyway, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. I've watched the Street Fighter 2 anime movie that came out in 94 in Japan, but we got it, I think, in 95 in North America, because it was a movie, and that movie was really good, because I was coming out of watching, renting the live-action Street Fighter movie from Blockbuster, and what I remember was that the Street Fighter live-action movie sucked, but I loved the anime movie. One of the most famous scenes people seem to always bring up about that movie was the
Tuesday.
Oh, that's the Tuesday. Yeah, that's one of the live action. But the scene that people bring up was it was a fight scene. It was a hotel that Chun-Li was in, and it was basically a shower scene with her, and then all of a sudden Vega happened to show up, and it was basically
the movie.
Yeah, it was her and Vega. And the same animation company would also make the Street Fighter anime series Street Fighter 2V, which you brought up, Hito, because that's a really good one. But it was a different take. Ryu, Ken, and Chun-Li were a lot younger, and then you would see all the other characters. You see Guile, you see Bison, and you see Zangief. But after that, I didn't really watch much anime until a certain anime that came in North America in 1998 that has changed my life forever. And what would that be? Pokemon. Pokemon did change my life for better and for worse, but mostly for the better. Mostly for the better. Because my brother got into it, and I was like, I'll watch it. And in terms of the channel, and of course I watched Dragon Ball Z and all that, but in terms of the channels that I've watched anime on, local channels, but like I said earlier, Nick Jr. and Cartoon Network, but mainly Cartoon Network with Toonami. So that's basically my early history with anime. So
I'm picking myself because there's two that I should have mentioned, and one is Vita Die, great OVA. The series is okay, but it's great OVA, and Akira.
Yep. Let's see. So now let's go to the next topic. We're gonna pick the different order of who gets to go first, but the next one is, when was the moment that you realized that anime went mainstream? And for this one, we are going to start off with Hito. When was the moment that you realized that anime went mainstream?
So that's a very difficult question. It's a good question, but it's a difficult question because when I was watching anime, I knew it was already mainstream when I was in elementary school. But the problem was, I grew up in a neighborhood where people was like, if I like anime, that means I'm a freaking weirdo and people are gonna pick on me. And I don't like that notion I didn't like that notion back then, and I still don't like that notion to this day. If you like anime, you like anime. That's it. Shut your mouth, quiet, and if somebody has something to say about it, they can take their complaints to the toilet because that's where the shit goes. Anyway, my main point is, my whole problem is the fact that it's gone mainstream since elementary school. This is nothing new. And to those people, especially in like neighborhoods like mine, where they're like, yo, if you watch anime, you're fucking weird. You're just causing issues. And there's something wrong with you and you deserve to get your ass kicked for doing shit like that. I'm like, what? No. No one deserves to that, because guess what? If the shoe was on the other foot, we could say sneaker collecting is that same issue. We could say basketball and sports are that same issue. If you like sports, you're a fucking weirdo. We could say that too. But when it goes into the mainstream, you have the same people that would do that, say stuff like that, but then they would go ahead and still like anime in the process, and they'll tell you, yo, you can't just tell people you like anime. That's fucking stupid. You can't do that. You'll get your ass kicked here. And I'm like, y'all are some of the most stupidest people I've ever heard saying that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's when I started noticing it was mainstream, because I enjoyed this stuff, and then it felt like people were in the closet about enjoying anime. Growing up in school, it was like, yo, I like anime, but don't tell people this shit.
Yeah.
Yo, I like anime too. Yo, that Gohuna guy, that guy's good. I'm like, you mean Goku? Yeah, he looks tough right now. And then we get the very frustrating thing that I hate so much, which is the Dragon Ball fandom, which is one of the more toxic fandoms, where they're like, Goku could beat anybody, and I'm like,
well,
sure.
Like, I mean, if Goku could beat anyone, how come he can't beat Superman? But that's another topic for another.
How come he can't be Sailor Moon? Just saying.
But that's another topic for another day. Let's continue this one.
Yeah.
My point is, at the end of the day, I knew it was mainstream the second that I started noticing kids my age or people my age were in the closet about it, and I'm just like, it's anime. It's not a big deal. You like anime. That's it. Get over it.
Yeah.
Really,
Like,
not that big.
Like, I don't understand why people decide to just use like certain words just to hurt people's feelings for liking anime. Like, I think that's so stupid. People should be able to like whatever they want to like. That's that.
That's the thing, Show. It wasn't even words. It was just people kids getting beat up for liking anime. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
That too.
It's like, wow, okay, what if we change the rules a bit? What if now instead of making anime outlawed, like the kids decided to do. Why don't we make collecting very fancy shoes or sneakers outlawed next, huh? You have to
Yeah.
spend money on footwear? What are you? You're into this sort of thing? You disgusting pervs. You know what? I hope you guys get your ass whooped. You know, like, why don't we just switch up the rules? You know, because, you know, we're just deciding to outlaw shit while we're at it, right? You
Right.
hear how stupid it's... You hear out of in the context how stupid that sounds? Like, this is the stuff that I grew up with. Like, that's when I knew anime was mainstream, when people started watching it and bullies that were watching it knew that they could get along with me, but then on the outside they're doing something dumb to me in the process so that way they could fit in, be everyone else.
Well, to be
And
fair,
that's literally what it was.
that says a lot more about them than it does about you.
Exactly. And I didn't let that shit phase me, but at the same time I'm also like, grow up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, what about you, Zykrul? When did you realize the moment that you realized that anime went mainstream?
Probably think around the late 90s to early aughts for it, especially since the small group that I was with in computer science, all that stuff, we talked more about anime. It wasn't really, I mean, yeah, it was frowned upon. Teachers didn't like it. We even had a teacher that wouldn't allow Pokemon cards
Yeah.
in the classroom.
Pokemon cards.
Thought they were the, you know how devil worshipping type deal with her, but you know, about that time, because I even started going to conventions. My first one was in '99 with Otaku in Maryland, DC area.
Oh wow. Let's see.
But yeah, no, I would say around that time because I had, like I said, a group of kids in high school was talking about it here and there. We even, because even then we would talk about it while playing Pokemon with each other from Red and Blue.
Mhm.
But yeah, and I would probably say even went more mainstream in the later aughts, early teens when, no fault to the voice actors, but it was obvious compared to the 90s, early aughts that the voice acting for the dubs just weren't there for the animes as they are now. But
Yeah.
it was getting there. I don't want to say that they're bad. It's just that it was just still new in a sense for that. So.
Yep.
Add on to that, Funimation definitely did at the time have like some of the more iconic voice actors that we recognize to this day, and even some of the ones that's doing, like Christopher R. Sabat, who did Vegeta and Kuwabara.
Yep.
Steve
And now-
Bloom for Spike Vegeta, and Johnny Young Bosch for Vash.
And then let's face it, now that we have Christopher R. Sabat, who was Kuwabara, now that he's doing All Might in My Hero, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Still translation to the ages.
Yeah, what was this character named Killer Kill? I believe he's in Killer Kill as well, because I'm horrible with voice actors and names. But
Christopher Sabat.
Christopher R. Sabat.
Yeah.
pretty sure he was in Killer Kill.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure he was fucking huge guy. I forget his name currently.
Laura
Yeah.
Bailey's another one.
Laura Bailey had a Bailey had to start on Funimation before being a much bigger voice actress. Yeah. So, Silver, what about you? When was the moment that you realized that anime went mainstream?
Oh, that's actually, that's actually kind of easy for me to like answer because this is like when I was like, I feel like anime was kind of like getting to that point like throughout the 2000s. You know, it was kind of Powerhouse Rising with like the big three. You know, One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. But like, I feel like if there was ever like a definitive like, I know that everyone around me is like currently watching this show because it is like the hottest show going on right now. I'd say this was, I want to say 2013, and literally I poked my head into like, you know, any common room, any sort of like open area on campus, and there's one anime that's always on TV whose people are watching, and it is Attack on Titan. Like that's me what I think was like the moment where like I felt like it was like the crossover appeal for a lot of people, like people who weren't even like into anime were like watching Attack on Titan. You know, everyone was like, "Oh, you heard the show? It's called Attack on Titan." So on and so forth. You know, all the memes from like the opening, just the general like zeitgeist that was going on. Like, I don't think there was ever like a bigger show at that point. Like at that point right there, I think if anything, I feel like it's been close to like almost like eclipsed in a way by Demon Slayer. But like in terms of like the moment where I noticed like where everyone was like just on that show, like it was absolutely like 100% like Attack on Titan. Like I remember when I was watching that, like this is like prior to summer 2013. Like everyone was like sitting down, everyone was like kind of like just watching it, so on and so forth. Like no, that's where I felt like a lot more open to like just like talk about like stuff I was watching that season, you know. But generally, like the common denominator was like, you know, I usually love shonen, but like I feel like Attack on Titan was kind of when I realized that it was like the mainstream, and then kind of been from there. You know, there was Demon Slayer. One Piece was starting to really like rise, like its stock started to rise because everyone was like, oh, if you like, you know, watching One Piece, you know, it was like going after like 1,000 episodes, so on and so forth. You know, have you watched One Piece? You know, that kind of thing. And then like it was a lot more like interesting to see like, you know, Anime Expo was like getting like not millions, but like thousands of people like crowding LA every year, the convention center, like, and like it made more. It is like started to just rise more and more and more. You know, I'm thinking of like of shows like Konosuba, for example, definitely broke out into like mainstream. Isekai kind of like really was like the genre that kind of like took anime to like a whole new level, so to speak. Even though it was kind of like what got me out of like watching season because literally like every season there'd be some sort of like, oh, it's this guy in another world. Oh, you be like a vending machine in another world. Oh, it's you know, this guy like is a pharmacist in another world. Some shit like that. Like there's it feels like at that point like they were like just like running like the most random shit ever, like as a mix up, and just like seeing what would stick. And some things worked out well. Some things were just like dumb as shit. But like.
Mm-hmm.
And even though like Attack on Titan wasn't at all isekai, but like it was kind of like more or less like pre that, like Sword Art Online kind of like was like the big like modern, you know, take on that. Obviously, Sword Art Online I feel like would have been like the mainstream one to go with, but like a lot of people were kind of giving it like is this just a dot hack, whatever. But like in terms of the show that people were like actually watching, because like everyone was like liking, because I feel like it was like just building and building every single episode was Attack on Titan. Like Sword Art Online kind of fell off after the second half. Let's be real. Not the first half, I should say. Like it fell off hardcore. Like, and you cannot dispute that. Like,
oh no,
oh
no.
Yeah, no, it seems like that was the case. Like in my era, it was DBZ. In that era, it was AOT.
You're right. Yeah. Like, it was like I say, it was DBZ, but like that was like more among like. among the boys, you know, everyone was like watching DBZ and like play fighting that shit like next day in school.
Yeah,
you know, that kind of stuff.
That does.
Like, I got beat in my daycare when that happened.
God, like I remember my primary school going through phases. Like it was I remember it went from Dragon Ball to Yu-Gi-Oh to Beyblade. Yeah, there were like more or less like if there were like very definitive trends I can remember. Or like where like it got like, you know, interesting, but in terms of like, you know, mainstream and like everyone I know was like into this shit. I'd say that was like 2013 when I really started getting like more seasonal anime. That was like where it kind of like took off. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was, to add is what was interesting is that the seeing, because the video was AOT, and now I'm just remembering times in between. It was like I said, Dragon Ball, and then after that it was Naruto.
That was a big one.
Naruto. One Punch Man also is also I have there.
Yeah, One Punch Man.
Yep.
Like, that was another big one for sure.
That's another good one.
Bleach was another one as well. You had people wearing literally platinum robes, and Death Note was definitely another big thing because during my high school years, because Death Note came out around the time I started freshman year, between freshman year to graduating middle school to freshman year. And there was a lot of scene kids during that time, scene and emo, because they were like, oh yeah, we like that style. I can't tell you how many girls look like Misa immediately when I would go into school in the art class. Or, mind you, I was one of those kids who actually bought the prop Death Note because it was like, it had all the rules inside. I was like, I'm curious about the rules of this thing.
Yeah.
And mind you, again, we go back to those closeted anime fans like, what are you gonna do? You gonna kill me? You gonna write my name in that book? Please, shit is fake. I'm like, I don't give a crap about you to even write your name in this thing.
The crazy thing is the fact, like, the fact that they're like, bashing for that, but then also they know what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you know what it is, like,
Right. Like, come on.
Yep.
But like, very clearly, like, I feel like earlier it was definitely DBZ, Sailor Moon. Later on, I feel like the big three: Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, and then into like Death Note for sure. And then I feel like AOT was kind of like the big like paradigm shift, and then like Demon Slayer and onwards.
Yeah.
But what is it? The My Hero Academia as well.
My Hero Academia, right? Yeah, because when Bleach ended, and like Naruto was like going over to Boruto, like everyone was like, what's part of the new big three? It's like
Bleach. Here's the thing: Bleach didn't even end; it just stopped, and then
it just stopped. Well,
They brought it back,
No
though.
one knew it was going to come back. No one knew.
They did bring it back,
It's
though.
back now.
But
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's back now. But like, there was a point where like, the big three, as it were, was kind of like weird because like it felt like they were like the Bleach was kind of like the outlier because like One Piece always had a position. Naruto was like killing it, but like Bleach was kind of like a weird spot because like it was starting to like fall off like from people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It was also around the point that Kubo was like done with the show, but yet he was under contract.
Yeah, it was done, but also like you can see it in his art that he was like kind of like some people thought he was more kind of phoning it in because like if you compare like the earlier chapters of Bleach to like the last couple chapters of it, like the art is like completely different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. All right. So, Epic Man, your turn. What was the moment that you realized anime went mainstream?
Okay, well, since that I feel I was never really noticing about the things that happened around my time when I was watching just mostly cartoons, when around the 2000s, where yeah, because I was just watching mostly cartoons, and sometimes I just mostly watch Pokemon, which is an anime. But for me to feel that what would make it mainstream to burst out with anime, it's honestly a difficult thing to say because when you guys mentioned about how with Silver saying about how Attack on Titan brings out everyone to come and talk about anime, which makes it popular, and then there is One Punch Man, and then there is My Hero Academia. I feel like every year we're gonna get that one big show that is gonna be talked about for a year or maybe throughout the entire life. So
Yeah.
it's like it depends on how you guys feel about what is it that makes it mainstream for you to feel when did it started. But I feel like I think it did started around the 2000s or the 90s because I have seen shows and animes and movies that people talked about when I was in school, like with Pokemon and Dragon Ball. It's like people around me, my classmates, were talking about them. I noticed that they were talking about that, even showing Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh too. So those are ones that as well that they talked about that I noticed that. Well, because even I watched also Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid too, and collect the cards just for the fun of it. And yeah, like it's and the thing is, I feel like it truly did go mainstream when the internet was a thing, where we got streaming services like Funimation and Crunchyroll.
Or even like early Crunchyroll, because like remember Crunchyroll used to be like a Renegade series.
Kiss Anime.
Yes, it was.
Kiss Anime like carried so hard in the 2010s. Like
like how we had watch cartoons online. There was also the watch anime online, all that stuff.
Online. God, Kiss Anime, anime here, freaking ZOMG Anime. They were like so many, like just like well, of course,
LimeWire, uTorrent, like you also finding
WinMX, all that shit.
Yeah.
Remember when you used to watch anime like at 360p, and it took like 13 parts just to finish
On
one
YouTube.
episode?
On
Yes.
YouTube. Like those days will never get old. Like you don't know struggle for like watching like 13 part of episodes on YouTube because the limit was like 10 minutes or whatever.
Not anime, but those just reminds me of the days of gaming with the DOS things. We have like 14 floppy disks to install the game.
Yep. The struggle.
Those were the days. Like those were the days where the early internet where
Or
it was
getting like a
so
burned DVD of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
I still have my case full of, of my CDRs and stuff. I still have my full thing.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, like burned DVDs were a thing too. Where my aunt used to mess around with them back in the day.
Yep.
Like I used to because she used to gave me like some copies of certain animes and even certain movies, like with House Movie Castle on the DVD. I used to have that, but until trying to get an actual.
Thank you, Nero, for that.
Yep. But yeah.
But like that. But yes, I would say that internet felt like it was bringing the anime to life for its streaming services, for things that people could watch on the internet instead of just on TV, because there are channels of animes that actually are dedicated to watching anime and people watch in those. But I think the internet truly made it so that anime could be on the mainstream for people to talk about. So
it definitely closed that gap of what was once niche to become.
Yeah, like it was, because anime used to be, and even sometimes I kind of still feel like it'd be a niche thing, but it is being a big thing now with just making it mainstream. So it's not just going to be a little thing anymore. It's still it's a big empire of entertainment, of media.
Yep.
Like it is there for people to watch and have fun and talk about with amongst the community, so people to check out. But I will say one other thing that I didn't notice before I even noticed about how mainstream it was. When I went to Comic-Con one time, New York Comic-Con, with my aunt, because she took me there for my first time being in a convention. Back in, I think it was the 2011, where they had Anime NYC at the time merged in with Comic-Con, because it was trying to show off with its side with anime. Because I remember exactly, because I was there to look at Super Mario 3D Land at the time, and I was recording myself trying to play it. And I
was at that Comic-Con.
Yeah, because I was like looking at
the 2011.
2011, yeah.
2011 when the 3DS was a thing.
I was there for that one.
2011 myself too.
There's a whole video on YouTube where I'm like, it's my perspective, and Pete's in that video too.
Yep.
It was really like I see the anime stuff, but I wasn't really too crazy about it, because I was just mostly there for the games, and maybe I was gonna buy a cartoon DVD. I forgot what it was, but like I noticed that there was anime stuff as well in there, just merged in somewhere. It was like in another section. I forgot where it was, but I say that's.
And with this, we got, because I made a point of listing it for fan creations, even though they are webcomic based, is RPG World, which is the creator went on to work on the Steven Universe, and is currently with Sugar, I believe, Rebecca Sugar,
right,
8-Bit
Theater, and Mega Tokyo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those guys.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's my piece.
All right, so now it's my turn to talk about like what was the moment I realized that anime went mainstream. Okay, so for me, I felt that anime went mainstream sometime around like 1998, 1999. 1998 was when Cartoon Network, Toonami started in 1997, but it didn't have anime until 1998. That was the first anime to ever air was Sailor Moon on Toonami, because they had the Deke dub, and then not too long afterwards they got Dragon Ball Z. So because Dragon Ball Z ended its run on syndication in early 1998, so Cartoon Network picked it up, and that's where the ratings really blew up, to the point where they ended up ordering some more episodes, because of course if it's going to be popular, people are going to want more. So we were going to get more. And Pokemon started airing in syndication before, like in 1998, and then
97, April 1st.
in Japan.
You're right, Japan. No, right, no, man,
Yeah, but in America, it was September 1998. Like it for me, like a local channel was basically WPIX, which is WB. And eventually, like in early '99, it would start airing new episodes on Kids WB, which was unprecedented at the time because they did not air anime on Kids WB until Pokemon. And what I remember was that Pokemon just blew up. Like I thought that it was going to be like a small niche thing. I didn't even realize that it was from Nintendo until when I was watching the credits. It said that's 95, 96, 98 Nintendo Creatures, Game Freak, and all that. What's funny is I kind of fell out of Nintendo back in the mid to late 90s, but Pokemon was what brought me back. So it was the anime which got me into the games, which got me into card game, because people were buying Pokemon cards left and right. Because like I remember like going to a game shop, a local game shop near me, and my brother just happened to notice that there was Pokemon cards. He wanted some. It was the starter deck where you would get Machamp as the holo card. Yeah, that was like the very first like starter deck. Like you had some other ones, like expansion decks or whatever, but it got to the point where Pokemon was just so huge. It was just too big for anyone to ignore. Everybody that I know was getting into it. People were trading the cards. People were bringing the Game Boy games. People were watching the show.
The Burger King event.
Oh, the Burger King, yes.
With the 24 karat gold cards and all that.
Yeah,
I remember that actually.
Yeah, like all those cards, all those toys, and then the Burger King, like it was the whole infamous like Burger King Pokeball toy where like unfortunately the baby there was a baby who unfortunately suffocated, and then the mother ended up suing Burger King for that, and they had to discontinue they didn't discontinue the Pokemon toys, but they did discontinue those Pokeballs because of that.
Yeah.
And one thing about Pokemon is that I remember like reading up later on, like once I got internet at home, that that there was supposed to be that we never got the Porygon episode because of the whole seizure thing that happened in Japan. Which apparently
the Dratini episode.
Yeah, but the Dratini episode with the gun and the Safari Zone. Yep. But the more famous one was the Porygon one, which
it was.
Apparently it hit national news in the United States before Pokemon even aired here.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Pokemon was like the big thing. Dragon Ball Z, like back in September 1999 on Toonami, that was when we got the new episodes. Like they just started continuing right where they left off from the Saban dub, and Funimation took over. Like we were still in the Frieza saga, and it's like they were trying to sound the same as like the original voice cast for North America, but they were different, and then they eventually turned what was supposed to be imitations to their own voices. Voices that we know of to this day, like Goku, Vegeta, and all them, like all these characters. Funimation just gave us all these episodes of Dragon Ball Z back in 1999 on Cartoon Network. We would watch it every day up until like 2003 when they finished the Majin Buu saga, and then everyone just kept talking, because I knew some people who did not like Pokemon, but they loved Dragon Ball Z because Dragon Ball Z was more mature than Pokemon was, like because all the action, and especially if you watch the uncut episodes, you would see you would see a lot more into the action. Like there's some nudity.
Like a cut from the like a cut from like the dubs and stuff. Yeah.
Like there was even some nudity, like in Dragon Ball, like scenes where like you see Goku naked, like they put like a leaf right on Goku and all that.
No, the fig leaf. Yep.
Or they changed.
Right.
Like here's the thing: we got to remember, we also had localization changes. Granted, Funimation was nowhere near as bad about this as 4 Kids. 4 Kids was really bad about this. So here's
good.
so one of the most
Who wants to use water guns in One Piece?
or one of the most famous examples, like like those onigiri rice balls, like in Pokemon, they call them jelly donuts.
Yeah.
That's a beach jelly filled.
Also with Pokemon, remember the beach scene with Jesse and his
Jesse and James. Right.
The breast implants, yeah, that episode, that was a thing. You know what else was a thing?
That was hilarious.
I legit thought that was a freaking April Fool's joke or something.
No, it's not.
No, it was real.
It's canon.
It aired. It only ever aired once here in the United States, and it never aired again.
Which I'm surprised I
Yeah.
never even thought it, but the thing is,
They were
I'm
cousins.
surprised.
They
No.
were cousins.
Oh, the Sailor Moon thing, yeah, like they were cousins.
That was cousins,
They were cousins in North America, which, because like they were trying to censor it because they were in love with each other, like they were lesbians in Japan, and then they said,
Right.
oh, they were cousins. And guess what?
They weren't lesbians with each other. Come on.
So
Not like-
lesbian
I didn't mean to
is
word it like
too controversial,
that.
but incest is okay. Cool, America.
Right?
That's a weird.
No,
That's a weird thing.
guys, it's okay if it's
better.
your cousin. That's exactly what the show is like. No, incest is okay as long as it's your cousin.
They did not think that. They obviously didn't think this one through.
Oh, please,
They
let's not go
obviously
in there.
didn't. Like, plus, there's always been a lot of tropes that don't hold up well in today's standards. But also, I also remember watching like some anime where they take some of the Japanese text out and replace it with English text, which sure, so we could understand exactly what it's supposed to be. But but there have been some anime, I know 4Kids was guilty of this, whitewashing some characters with darker skin. And in a couple of shows. They've done this many times.
Mm-hmm.
That which is actually racist that they did.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like
Back then, they didn't know better.
and then it's also the other factor being that there were characters that were labeled as racist as well, like Jinx in Pokemon and Mr. Popo in Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they changed Mr. Popo blue in Dragon Ball Z Kai in North America.
Yeah, and Jinx did get changed from black to purple, I believe.
Yeah,
Purple.
because there were lawsuits, and they just settled because they did not want to have the lawsuits to go further. So
Right.
they were forced to make the changes.
What's amusing is that there's an episode, I think it's with, I forget the Pokemon, the Manta Ray Pokemon, where it's forget which episode. It's with Dawn, but yet for some reason there's a scene there where she jumps on to the Pokemon to get after it, and they show under her skirt. It's in the American one still. They didn't remove it. Oh, you see, it looks like black shorts, not like underwear or anything. But it's just interesting how that somehow made it through. But
Yeah,
It's how anime was and how anime
But-
is still now.
Anime logic.
but I feel.
no.
But but aside from the like Dragon Ball Z airing, Pokemon taking the world by storm, the other factor of me knowing that anime was mainstream was like the fact that I've been seeing more people wearing anime T-shirts, hats, having all these accessories and everything. Back in the 2000s. I'm seeing more people talk about it, and the thing is, like, to add on to some of the things that you said, Hito, about like there are people who are just kind of like hiding that they love anime, kind of, as you said,
They're in the isekai closet. I know it's stupid.
how we have that, and it got to the point where like there are people who just like, there are people who gatekeep because they want to try to make this as like some sort of secret club. It should never really be like that. Anime should really be for everyone. Like it should, like that.
I 100% that. I 100% that it shouldn't be gatekept. But let's not forget what it is at the end of the day.
No.
Like, just acknowledge. Like, all I'm asking for is acknowledge the fact that you hide behind the fact that you were ashamed of watching anime. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Just like for me, like I just embrace what I like, and if people have a problem with that, that's not my problem. But that being said, with anime in general, the fact that people would just go like different events, like conventions. Like I would see more and more conventions, and the conventions themselves that already exist would get a lot bigger with more attendees each year because people want to be a part of this. People want to be a part of events with other like-minded individuals. It's just a feeling that you just don't want to ever miss out on. You want to be a part of this. So yeah. The late 90s, early to mid 2000s was like when anime was pretty much mainstream and just going forward with being mainstream. Yeah.
Very much.
All right. So now the next topic. All right. So the next topic is, what are your favorite anime series of all time? And you also have to name one anime that you consider to be the worst anime you've ever seen. Wait until when you get to my worst, because it's not going to be what anyone thinks. We're going to start with you, Zykrul. We'll start with you. The your favorite anime of all time first, and then the one anime you think is the worst.
There's not many good ones. I'm just going to list off my 5 that I put on the list, even though it's not a final thing because I have so many, but definitely with nostalgia glasses. Cowboy Bebop, Trigun for sure. I also have on the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Clan Ad. Though I will say the number one for me, which won't probably anytime soon, if at all, will get topped, is so I guess I lied. I do have a favorite. Is Tengen Toppan, Gurren Lagann. And my worst is Ghost Stories. No.
Oh, jeez. Like OG Ghost Story is terrible. Dub Ghost Story is phenomenal.
The best.
Like no other difference.
But totally taboo in this day and age now.
Oh yeah.
Oh jeez.
It does not hold up.
Made today.
Guilty pleasure too.
It was a product of its time.
But my actual answer to that is kind of a mixed one, because it's sad, because it's called Exile: The Silver Wing, but it's like the second season to Exile, which sadly the first one is phenomenal, again way up there, but the second one it just, I don't know how. I know Gonzo has been known to be bad with the anime stuff, but I don't know how they managed to go with that one compared to the first season.
Yeah.
It was like, in short, like, it was like the characters are fine. The story was okay. The issue they had was like they had this whole build up of the good guy versus bad guy, only to have a anticlimactic ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that would be mine. I'm sure there's far worse out there, but that's the one that I had as the lowest rating on my list of anime that I've seen. So
Okay. All right. Silver, what are like your favorite anime series of all time? And can you also name the one anime that you think of as the worst that you ever seen?
Oh boy.
I'm retreading like my own anime episode because funny, for those who don't know, Epic and I had a wonderful Horizon discussion of anime like not so long ago. So if I were to go with favorite anime, like of course everyone knows me. Fooly is like my favorite anime of all time. Love that to bits. Love it so much. Like it's, to me, that was when I realized, anime was like something like something else. Like that was like when I realized that this was like unlike anything I've ever watched like in my life. So definitely, high up for me. Other shows that I usually like that occupy my brain space, easily. White Album 2, phenomenal romance anime based off a visual novel. Intense stuff. I still want to read the original visual novel to like get the full effect. But, like the anime was like pretty damn good. Akunohana, the Flowers of Evil, controversial anime actually, because that anime was actually rotoscoped instead of like traditionally animated, and people hated it back then because they felt it was more or less like spitting on like anime, because like they felt that like it was not like it pretty much was like a farce to like a lot of people. But the thing is, like, the creator made it that way because like they felt like if it was anime like traditional anime, the uneasiness and the weirdness of it wouldn't have gotten through. So that's why it was rotoscoped. Other anime I'll throw in there as like a sort of like top 5. Ping Pong the animation, another phenomenal work.
It's on my list to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Like, please watch it. Like, I've rewatched it recently, and like, God, Ping Pong is like so.
Like,
so
I'm not into any sports games, but that's like one of them I've heard and seen. Yeah.
Oh, the thing about it I said about Ping Pong is that like it's not about the sport ping pong. It's about like why the characters play ping pong. Like,
right, and that's
it's a sport. Yeah, it's a sports anime where like the sport is kind of like it's kind of playing second fiddle to the character, because like it's to me it's the character work, it's the animation, it's the emotion. Like, it's one of those shows where like granted the art style can be a little bit like iffy for some people. You know, it's done by was it Masaki Yuasa, like, who's like legendary anime director. You know, most known for like, you know, I believe the Tatami Galaxy, Eizouken, and I believe also Michiko and Hachin.
Nine Galaxy said, yeah.
Yuasa is like literally like a legendary dude. Like, he's done like so many like phenomenal works. It's unrivaled. Of course, I forgot about Devilman Crybaby. But like, and that's just like other anime. Like, this one's a lot more lighthearted because like I'm thinking that's like truly comedic. That would be Daily Lives of High School Boys, Danshi Kokosei no Nichijou. Like, it is one of the few shows where I remember just laughing like my ass off, like, because like normally with like Japanese humor, it's like very it's very like, a lot of people to get their humor, it's like, oh, this is like offbeat or like wild. Like, this one was like just like cleverly done with the characters. Like, imagine like you growing up with your best friends and you're doing like dumb shit like on the daily. It's like that, you know. Like, for example, you see a stick on the ground, so you pretend like it's like a sword, and you walk around like you're in an RPG or whatever. You know, there's a whole bit of episode where they pretend to be like an adventure, and everything, and it was phenomenal. Great shows all around, and honestly, like, the thing to note too is that all these shows are rated 10s on my anime list. Like, I do keep a list of my anime that I have here, and like these are all like what I consider 10s.
All right.
You know? Yeah. In terms of like the worst now, so I for a very long time, like, this is what also like broke me out of like doing a lot of like season, because like for a long time, like, whenever I would start a show, my commitment would be to watch that show in full, to finish it, no matter how odd it is, no matter how dumb it is, no matter how stupid it is. You start the show, you finish the show. The show that ended up breaking that habit ended up being a battle anime called Magical Warfare, or Maho Senso. It is the most generic piece of garbage I have been brought to watch in my life. Like, it tries to adapt this light novel, but like there's terrible power scaling, a conflict that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Really stupid heroine, really dumb protagonists. God, it falls into so many like tropes as well, where it just like, it feels like it wants to like be something significant, but it just can't. It just can't. And then it ends on a cliffhanger. And no, there is no second season.
Cliffhanger endings are the worst.
Because it seems like they're trying to bait for like a second season, but like, God, this show was awful. Like, awful. I remember like watching, like, the only thing I can remember about the show was like the ending theme, and because like that's because I love Nano. Nano makes like phenomenal music. She's a wonderful like any-song like creator, but like Maho Senso was just like so bad, and like that was where I realized, okay, there are shows that are worth just dropping. Like, and like only on my list, like I think I've really like dropped shows because like they were like bad, but like I finished that show, and then I think that was like the litmus test of like, hey, if it's better than this, maybe it has a chance, but like otherwise, if I'm not getting hooked within like say 4 or 3,
4 or 5
usually
episodes.
4 or 5 episodes, but usually the 3 episode rule like prevailed for a lot of them, I'll drop them, you know. Like I've dropped like shows like halfway into its run, you know, like my Oiga. I've dropped just shows that I felt like I wouldn't like have like been able to like really hold my attention. Like hell, I've dropped the Phoenix Wright anime because I felt like it'd be better playing it as a game than watching it as an anime, for example. You know, but like there have been some shows that have been like just absolute fucking duds, and like let's just say, guys, this like life is too short to watch like bad anime. Like really and truly, like there are some like great shows out there for sure. But there are some like truly awful shows that really I don't feel anyone should be like watching or giving the time of day because like they're just gonna waste your time.
Yeah.
They don't even bother. Like don't even bother. And like and My Whole Sense was like one of the only other shows that I've rated like a 1. The other show, it's hard to call it an anime because it's an anime with a runtime of 3 minutes per episode, and literally it's 1 minute for the opening, like 45 seconds for like the ending, and like it's just like barely like a minute 15 of anime, and it's Pupa.
Really?
Yeah. The premise of this, it's a weird thing. Like this girl gets cursed by some weird demon, and so she has a sort of like hungering for human flesh. So her brother ends up having to take care of her, and her brother lets her eat him, literally. And it goes nowhere because again, it's a very short anime. Like we're talking like 3 minutes runtime, barely any like plot development. Like I gave Pupa a 3 because like it was bearable, but also it was funny in a way because everyone was like, "Wow, how bad can it get this week?" My Whole Sense was just horribly bad in terms of like just not going anywhere. You know, that was the issue with that show.
Yeah,
that's my thing. Like you know, I have a lot of good anime that I recommend for sure, and I haven't even like brought up like some of the other things like you know like that was a part timer for example, and hell even movies, Your Name, Summer Wars. You know, other give you feels like Spirited Away.
Wolf Children, 5 centimeters per second.
Right, 5 minutes per second. Psychopaths is a really good show. Anonatsu Damatsu, Steins Gate, Redline.
Yeah,
like God.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. There are a lot of shows that there are a lot of shows that are just like phenomenal that I think are worth watching. But like, man,
like if you want to watch decent anime, go look through Madhouse. That company.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
just know that you know if you start a Madhouse anime, more times than not, there's not a second season. That's a warning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep it in mind.
They don't do second seasons.
Kyoto Animation as well.
Yeah, Kyoto, like classic.
Yep.
They always do like well like animated shows, you know, and also you know Dogakobo for like the cute girls and cute things anime.
Yeah. All right. So, EpicMan, you're next. What are your favorite anime series of all time? And if you can name one anime that you consider to be the worst.
So,
It's
gonna be a lot because I have watched a lot since I truly got into them, and I have a lot of favorites in my list. A lot of ones that I like the most. I rarely have any bad times watching shows. Sometimes I would have to put them on hold because they were too much, or I get distracted for other shows that I really want to get into. But I could name a couple of ones that I like a lot. Like, for instance, I like Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. I like Konosuba. I like Fruits Basket. Nichijou.
Yeah.
Takagi-san.
Yeah. Penny and Stocking.
Obviously.
Yeah, Penny and Stocking.
High School DxD, and so much that they all really influenced me to watch a lot. But there are the ones that I seriously want to say that these are probably my most favorite of all time. And you know, there are a couple of them, but I'm just gonna say probably one of them, and that is gonna be Kill Kill. Like, just hands down, Kill Kill is legit amazing. I mean, Studio Trigger has done so much for this show, for just to make it its own one season. You know, they don't need to make a few more to just stretch out the lore or just the story to make it grand. Like, they already did it with this 24 episode series run because they did so much with the action, the music, the choreographer with the fighting. It's all there, amazingly well done, and I cannot begin to I cannot say enough about how much I love the show. It just
Being
moves
the
me
first
a
anime
lot.
as well.
Yeah, their first anime after they had to finish off with
Gainax.
with Gainax, but they helped out with because the team there
Yep.
they did with Gurla Gun, which also is my other favorite too.
Yeah.
But Kill la Kill for me, I'd say I keep thinking about a lot because of everything they've done so much in it. Like it is just amazingly well done, paced well, funny. It's a really good comedic at times, but it's mostly action and it's really good.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
And even them, they're like them parodying the ecchi side of exposing one's skin and the puns
Yeah,
throughout.
That's the thing about that too, where people would say this was gonna be like, oh man, if you're showing ecchi stuff, this is gonna be a fan service. Like, sure, you can say that, but the thing is, this was on purpose because it's part of the story. You know,
Yeah.
like you can say with shows like with High School DxD, because that show is a mega fan service show, but it has a purpose of it for its
Yeah,
character.
because I forget part of it. I know Kill la Kill is like part of it is like if looks could kill. I know that's part of the pun for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
It's for that pun, yeah. But like
Right.
with the shows like these, they have to have a purpose because I don't mind with stuff because I do like. I mean, I am a guy that likes to see something like with ecchi stuff as well. But there has to be a purpose for it to be enjoyable. Otherwise, you're just gonna make hentai of it or whatever.
and like the over the top like names of the moves and stuff and all that with the
Yeah, like
with the
always-
kanji and yeah.
Yeah, very, very much like that. Yeah, but I would say, yeah, because hearing the opening theme song of the song just blows me away. Like I just cannot get enough of it. It's just it moves me a lot. So, yeah, I'm gonna say that's gonna be my favorite of all time. But for my worst, I am going to say this one just baffles me a lot. It is just one of the most baffling things I've seen. But it's just I don't know. I wouldn't say it's like the worst, but it's something that I just could not bear because of the characters in them. Because they honestly feel like they could have gone somewhere with it, but they didn't. And that show I'm going to be talking about is School Days.
No, come on.
Look,
But they have a nice belt with it.
Sure, you can say that, but really, with everything that this main character, that this guy, this kid, that this guy that did in the whole show, is this really a good? Is this a really good way to show off for you to follow this character's footstep? Because it's not. Because this is a school show where he has a crush on this girl, and then he has some other afflictions with the other characters where he decided to go with them instead because he has feelings with them too. And then things get even weirder when the main girl that you follow, she has conflicting feelings too, and things get very bad at the very end where, well, you could say...
it's a good example of how love triangles can end up quickly.
Let me make this very clear about that anime. Dude fucked around a lot, quite a lot actually, and then he found out what happens when you do it. Just saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Moral of the story: don't be a dick.
It's just so crazy to me just how much this guy just had to go on and on to fuck with everyone else. But I can't understand that because when you're young you do shitty things because that is how life is. When you go to school and you're teen or young adult, that happens. But to go for this level and for how it ends up paying him off, it makes me just want to not think about anything. Like it just makes me want to just go lie down and be like, I really should think of my life choices just in case anything happens. Because I want to be like this.
It's very
I
educational.
want to be like this.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have your ways of how you want to do with your life. You want to have fun, get girls and whatnot. But this one, yeah, I feel like this one should be a lesson of telling you, yeah, don't fuck around like that. Don't do that.
The more you fuck around, the more you're gonna find out.
Indeed.
Oh yeah. So be careful what you're doing in life because you don't want to end up like this. But I mean, it's not like I'm gonna say like, yeah, this will happen. But just be very careful when
Mhm.
you're doing school, kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna be my worst anime for that. There you go.
All right. Well, Hito, what are your favorite anime series of all time? And can you also name the one anime you consider to be the worst you've ever seen?
Okay, sure. So we're gonna go with my top 5, which are Shaman King is my top one. Period. I love Shaman King to this day. I will always like the original manga to begin with. 4Kids kind of watered it down, but then they remade it, and it made a lot more of an initiative. Now, the animation wasn't all that great, but it goes with the story, which is important. Like, at least the new anime adaptation goes with the manga a lot more clearly now, which is great, and I'm happy about that. My number 2 is Inuyasha, including Yasahime into the mix because it actually does entangle everything correctly. Inuyasha is a great fairy tale story overall together. Honestly, it's probably, if Japan was making a fairy tale, amazing.
They
Like,
did.
I can't
It's called
live
Fairy
off of
Tail.
that. So like it's really good. It's called the feudal fairy tale. So it's great. My third one, Yu Yu Hakusho. I can't say no to
Yeah.
Yu Yu Hakusho on that one. Third
Yeah.
one's great. However, rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho, I am now a little bit more pissed off with it than usual. I still have. It really got knocked down from the number 2 spot, and Inuyasha took the third. Reason why, the power buffs in the anime half the time did not make sense, and it got me frustrated. It was like, oh, we're just gonna add this, and I'm like after the dark tournament, like I felt like all hell went loose, and I'm just like,
Talking
this
about
makes no sense.
the Sensui saga, and then also the Three Kings saga in the Demon World. That tournament that
I was okay with the Three Kings saga. That was fine. It was the Sensui shit that pissed me off. And I know a lot of people were like, Sensui's like a good thing. Like, no. I will give credit to Tagoro over anything. If we're talking about a tournament arc that I enjoyed the most, Yu Yu Hakusho will be the tournament arc that I will go to immediately. And I will praise it to this day. When that Sensui arc happened, I was pissed off. That is when the anime started to decline. And I was like, no, you just pulled off one of the most successful tournament arcs in the world right now for anime, and you just messed it up. You broke it. Okay, you broke it. You ruined it, and I'm leaving.
because
And that was that was where it came into it. And mind you, I'm not the only one who thought that, because I actually gave the anime for Waffles to watch, and Waffles enjoyed it until the Dark Tournament arc, and then that shit happened.
well,
And here's the thing, part of me, and I know a lot of people will probably disagree with this, but the thing is, Genkai honestly should have stayed dead. And I'm not saying that as a fucked up thing or anything like that, but bringing back one of the most tragic things that made me feel some type of way, and then bringing her back was kind of pointless. It was pointless.
Yeah, I can honestly agree with that. Even though, yeah, because when it comes to when you're having a character dead like that and you have to go through the tragic moments with that, bringing them back would make things feel off like that.
And
Like,
here's
I can see that.
here's the thing that also bothers me. Even if she was dead, she was still going to be able to train the other people in the spirit world because they were all demons.
yeah,
They were all demons in some class. She could have still trained them, regardless if she was dead or not. The only reason why she was brought back was honestly for, again, the stupid Sensui arc, which made no sense. Again,
yeah.
Kuwabara has the sword that can break dimensions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yusuke is now part demon because of bloodline. I'm like, okay, you know what? We never visited Yusuke's father. That I don't mind. However, there was no point for the Sensui arc to do that. They could have just revealed. They could have done that so much better. They could have revealed that Yusuke's dad is a demon. Could have literally introduced it so much better and would have said, hey, he's a demon. He has to reclaim the throne now. We heard about your exploits through the Dark Tournament. We heard about how you took down Tagoro. Let's do this. Would have made much more sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, much more sense. Because guess what? All the characters in the Sensory arc don't even come back.
Mm.
Yeah.
They don't come back, so why bother? That is my gripe with Yu Yu Hakusho, and that's why I got knocked down on my list. My fourth one... Actually, hold on. Fruits Basket's my third spot. Yu Yu Hakusho ended up on fourth. Fruits Basket 2019. Third spot. So, I love Fruits Basket a lot. I saw the original 2001 anime. I had the box set. I watched it,
good show.
and then I was sad because it never continued, and I had to read it through the manga to see what happened. And oh my god, there's so much. It was so much going on. I'm finally happy that it finally finished in 2021. We got we got everything. It was great. It was all to the detail, which was amazing. And then they added Kyoko's side story, which was basically Toru's mom before the accident and everything. They added like a little arc before anything happened, which was great. Best slice of life / mystery / paranormal / drama. It is great. It is a K-drama in many regards. Hell, I will tell you this right now. The first opening of Fruits Basket 2019 actually makes it sound like a K-drama. If you listen to the opening, it sounds like a K-drama in the beginning. And and to this day, I made the joke because I was watching it with Waffles because I showed him the original 2001, and I told him that the remake came out, and we saw the whole thing, seasons 1 through 3, the whole thing. And I made the joke to him, and I'm like, you know, they're gonna fall in love, they're gonna break up, they're gonna fall in love again, they're gonna break up again, they're gonna say they're gonna get married, and then someone dies. You know, just like the K-drama trifecta right there. That's where it goes. Then the final anime, it was Angel Beats. I loved Angel Beats. I cried. I cried so much. Oh my god, I cried so much. It was good. I mean, like, it's a tie between Angel Beats and Clannad.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's me with like if you want 1,000 likes.
But here's the thing, and the only reason why Clannad is not on the 5, it's Angel Beats over Clannad, is because Clannad was a visual novel, and I've played that visual novel too many times, and my first choice was always Yukine, because I loved Yukine. Tea, I will take my tea that I cannot drink in real life, but I will drink in the game because I'm not intolerant to tea in the game, and I will date this mysterious woman who just works at the second library and gives me weird books all day. Congratulations. But Angel Beats made me cry to this day. I cannot stop crying whenever that ending happens, and the music and score is amazing.
Yeah.
Same with Fruits Basket. Like, both of those are on par, and Inuyasha hits my feudal taste buds when it comes to music. Worst anime. Worst anime.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Oku no P. I'm kidding.
I was either gonna go with that or Ghost Stories, so I went with Ghost Stories.
It's not an anime.
God
It's
damn
not
it.
an anime.
I was gonna go with that or Ghost Stories.
We won't even count that. No. So,
My god.
my worst anime is Eumeria. So, for those of you who don't know what Eumeria is, this was during a time that Anime Network existed on demand if you had Time Warner Cable.
Oh yeah.
And the
I
thing,
did not.
and the thing that happened quite often was they mostly gave us dating sims games, like games that had a harem plot, except for one which I love to this day, which is Mohoro-matic, the Automatic Maid. I highly recommend it. It's very ecchi, but it's also going to make you cry.
But
Yeah.
that's all it was back then. It was just visual novels to anime for us back then.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
Oh
watch
yeah,
Mohoro-
absolutely.
I'm 100%ing. Watch Mahoromatic. It's ecchi as fuck, but it will make you cry.
That was one of
the
my first ones I watched too.
The boob dream to this day will still kill you. But Eumeria was the worst one in the trope of these harem anime things. It was basically a boy that just turned 16, and he has dreams of 5 girls that he knows in real life protecting him in the dream, and him protecting and giving them power. How does he give them power? By embracing them or touching them. And here's the worst part. And mind you, that sounds normal, because high school DxD. I touch you, your clothes come off. But no, this is the worst part about it. One of the girls does not even fucking talk. All she says is Monet in multiple ways with emotions. And I'm like, the harem anime field has literally gone downhill from here. The girl doesn't even fucking speak English. Oh wait, let me correct myself. The girl doesn't even speak fucking Japanese. She just says Monet. She's a fucking Pokemon. You are literally giving me a choice to date a Pokemon. Because she doesn't even say anything else. She's just like, Monet. I'm like, bitch, shut up. I swear to God, I'm going to throw you in a damn tar pit. She doesn't speak a lick of Japanese, and if you're watching it dub, English. Just, no. No. One of the love interests is his cousin. Because, cousins are okay to have incest with. As we learned from Sailor Moon's English dub. Right? So...
Hey.
No, it's and mind you, you would think that she's saying Moe. No, she's not saying Moe. She's saying Monet. Okay, even her attack move is Monet. I'm just like, stop, just stop.
Stop.
The show has gotten Hito into an rage that he has to hit his camera.
No,
That drove him
Here's the problem. I wanted to rewatch all the animes I used to watch when I was younger. And I was like, oh, Eumeria, I remember that show. Let me give it a try. Mind you, before that, I was watching Gravitation, and I was watching Daphne and the Brilliant Blue, and she was literally... and I was watching, Mahoromatic. That was another one. I was rewatching all these old anime. And then I remembered Eumeria, and I was like, okay, well, this won't bother me as much. I mean, I've been rewatching all my shows. So far, some of these have actually held up. And then I saw the first episode, and I'm like, I hate this. Why did I watch this? Why did I finish this when I was young? Did I have more tolerance when I was a teenager? That's what happened. This is what happens. Listen, I'm tired of this shit. I'm a grown adult now. I'm tired of this shit. I was so...
Yeah, that was me with, unfortunately, Get Back. I loved it as a teen, but when I went back, I love it. I just can't understand how so many still frame animations in that for the fights. It's like, I don't know how I couldn't finish it the second time. The way the animation is in that. It's still framed.
Here's the thing. I could still watch Get Backers to this day. It's fine. Okay, because again, it's still great. The story's good, and honestly, I just hate that it was left on a cliffhanger. No, listen. Do you know what the other love interests were? Okay, let me list down the love interests of Eumeria. Hold on. Girl that just screams Monet all day, came from his dreams and woke up in his bed. Usual harem shit.
Yeah.
High school student that he has a crush on. Fine, appropriate. Cousin. Aunt. I'm not kidding. Aunt. Last one. 8-year-old girl that has freaking has split personality. 8. And she calls him master. I freaking can't.
Wow.
This is hence why I said this is why I get tired of the ecchi shit every night, because it's shit like this. It's shit like this. This is why I can't stand ecchi that much anymore. Because of this situation. Because it's like, okay, we've taken it too far. Now, mind you, even though technically speaking, and I'm going to say this now, Japan has a very early time where you could get married. Well, back then.
Yep.
Being 14 years old. And I understand the culture as much for that.
Mm-hmm.
This is not okay. Okay? It is not Sweet Home Alabama. We cannot do this shit. Please, I am begging you. Begging you. Don't do this to me. Not to the... 8.
Full tide.
Freaking 8. Oh my god. Yep, Zumeria was written by Namco. That was the other that was the other thing.
Wow.
It was written by Namco.
Yeah,
They did this.
so
They did this.
it's like I said, it's about having a purpose with these things where you want to make a story like this. And look at what happens when you don't have a purpose and it all gets jumbled up into a fuckfest like this.
Cousin, aunt, 8-year-old
Yep.
with
Damn.
a mental disorder.
So
Congratulations.
then an anime, and then apparently these characters showed up again in Project Cross Zone, which is crazy.
Don't
Yep.
remind me.
Oh shit!
They did.
Don't freaking remind me.
They did. They did.
Don't remind me.
Well,
Don't
then,
remind me.
that I
Alright.
did not know. actually.
So
I bet he didn't like that when he saw them. Like, you fucking get out of here.
so basically that is the worst anime you have ever seen.
Yes. Yes.
Holy shit,
Hey,
dude. Did not
well,
expect so many you explained so many twists and turns that I did not expect whatsoever. Holy shit.
It held up better than Boku no Pico. That's how bad it was.
I don't say that's worse. In my
Oh, jeez.
anyways,
Anyway, so
whatever.
now it's
we're moving on.
now
moving on.
it's my turn.
Yeah,
Okay.
your turn.
So, my favorite anime of all time, obviously Yu Yu Hakusho is one. I don't really need to say anything that hasn't been said. Sure, yes, it has its flaws. It's not perfect. Like, I know the Sensui Saga is a bit of a mess, and I know Viking Saga, for me, it's hit and miss. But I do like the twist of Yusuke being a demon, like a half demon. But that's number one for me. Another one I would probably say is up there. I absolutely love Cardcaptor Sakura. Cardcaptor Sakura is just a great show. Granted, when it came here, it was just called Cardcaptors. The dub is hit and miss, but the show's fun. The show's great. I absolutely enjoyed it. Cardcaptor Sakura, like, it's from Clamp. Clamp is known for some really interesting anime, but that's the one that I really watched when I was a kid, because it was on Kids WB back in 2001, and I remember they had a contest in which that, like, anybody, whoever wins would get to voice a random character in an episode. But the thing is, the dub, like the company that they were doing the dubbing, it was Nelvana. They were based in Canada.
All right, Nirvana.
Yes, they dubbed some anime here too. But they're Canadian, and they had like the most weirdest dub, but it's still fun. I still enjoyed it. Another one I would probably say that I enjoyed the most, that I would say is one of the best. I really loved obviously, like, I grew up with Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, so like Dragon Ball Z is definitely up there for me.
I'd also recommend the abridged version.
Which I
Yeah,
did.
TV's abridged. Yeah.
All right, so as far as other stuff goes, Samurai Pizza Cats is another one for me. I grew up with that. I don't know if they finished it here, but I did watch it. And the only other anime that I'm probably gonna bring up, aside from all of that, is Zoids. There's two Zoids shows. There's Zoids New Century Zero, which was actually the second Zoids that came out in Japan, but it was the first one to come here. It had a character named BitCloud who was a drifter selling parts. He ends up being adopted by the Toros family, and, well, not adopted, but he was just taken in. And then he teams up with that group. So, like, the Blitz team, they face against multiple teams for prize money, with one of the main antagonists being the Black Drac group. They specialize in unauthorized and unsanctioned battles with their own judge, and The fights are really good, but it only had 26 episodes. There was another Zoid show that I did watch, which was a lot longer, called Zoid's Chaotic Century, which was really good. It's set in a much more distant time period, distant backwards, because New Century Zero takes place 1,000 years afterwards. But
Right.
I enjoyed it. Like, the animation was pretty good for its time, and hold on one moment. Yeah, sorry, it's just a random like horn honking, but my apologies for that. Anyway, Zeroes is a great show, both the original Chaotic Century.
Right.
Let's talk about what I consider to be the worst show ever for anime.
Here we go.
Okay, but I don't know. Like, it's just this. I just want to talk, and I'm being interrupted by this thing.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I'll beep me outside.
Yeah. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna talk about it anyway. Okay.
Yeah, dude.
So-
just do it.
Yeah, get on that.
All right. So we have a show that came out in the 1970s. This one was probably considered to be like one of the worst shows ever made. It was so bad that even like a lot of people in Japan still make fun of it to this very day, and the anime is called Charge Man Ken. So
There we go.
Charge Man Ken. So what is Charge Man Ken, you may ask? Well, Charge Man Ken is an anime that has this little boy, like 10 years old. He was this superhero who specializes in powers that come from solar, like solar power. He has a charge in order to use them. Without solar power, he has nothing. He's powerless. So why is it bad? There's nothing to really explain anything about this show. The show is the runtime for each episode is 5 minutes long. And aside from the intro and the credits, it's 5 minutes long. And if you see one episode, you've seen them all. There's no continuity whatsoever. It starts off with a random event that happens during the day. Like, let's say, for example, if they're gonna go out for the day, or if there's something with school, or anything else like that. And then all of a sudden, like, these humans that pop up are not actually humans. They're actually aliens called the Duralians, and they're the main villains of the episode. And then all of a sudden, like, they don't explain why are they doing what they're doing in each episode. And then all of a sudden it cuts to like the little boy named Ken who turns himself into Charge Man Ken, transforms into Henshin style power, whatever transformation, and then he fights them, and then after he beats them, they go away for the episode, and then Ken goes back to doing whatever he was doing, and then that's how the episode ends. But there is one infamous episode that people seem to talk about regarding that show. There was an episode where it starts off with a piano lesson. There's a piano teacher who's teaching Ken's sister Karen some piano lessons, and then it turns out that the piano teacher is actually one of the aliens, because he is trying to hypnotize and brainwash her into killing Ken at 3 in the morning. The name of the episode is when the cuckoo clock strikes 3. So you would see everyone sleeping for the night, and then it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and Karen wakes up because like the piano teacher tells her it's 3 a.m. It's time for you to go and kill your brother. He is a bad person. And they have this little alien friend. They don't explain who he is or why he's hanging out with them. He was just eating snacks in the kitchen, and then he happened to notice Karen grabbing a knife, like a really big knife, and is about to go into Ken's room, and then he goes into Ken's room before she does to warn him, which he wakes up because she is hypnotized and is about to kill her. Then what happens next is their parents come in. The father grabs her because she wants to go kill him because she's brainwashed, and you want to know how she got out of it. The mother slaps her. There's like an epic picture where you see the mother slapping her, and then they just go find the aliens and everything, beat them up, and then that's it. The animation quality is really bad, and sometimes you could see like a piece of hair, like just somewhere around like a part of the animation cell. Like, they don't care about the animation quality. In fact, it gets to a point where the staff actually like skip out and go on vacations or go on do other things because they would rather do anything else than to animate an episode of the show. And the budget for anime is usually like about like 1 million yen back in the 70s, but they were given 250 yen per episode instead of 1 million yen per episode. The show is really bad. It's pretty much just a nothing show. It's awful. It's just so ridiculous. It's not necessary whatsoever. That's my pick for the worst. Chargeman Ken.
You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, like while you're describing that, I did look it up. I remember a frame of like the dad holding the girl and she had like the knife in her hand. I'm like, that's where it's from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing the show because I think it was you or somebody else showed up in the meetup one time to sing that show.
Oh yeah, because I told CTK about that, and then he showed it off on his screen, and then we were watching it.
Yeah, and I was like appalled about how bad it was with the animation and that particular episode with the piano teacher trying to hypnotize the sister. Like, I didn't think it was going to be that bad.
It's really, really bad.
Okay, I'm watching it now, and I'm like, geez, like there were like some better. There were definitely better anime in the '70s than this show. Like,
yeah, like even anime from like the '60s, like Speed Racer, which great show by the way, looks way better.
I was gonna say Cutie Honey, but definitely like a really really good show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Cutie Honey. Yeah.
Like, they just didn't care. They didn't care about making this show good. They just made it just for whatever reason because they didn't do it because they wanted to. They did it because they had to. That's how bad it actually was. Yeah. So that's my pick. Now we go on to the last topic before we do the community questions. How much has anime influenced your own life? And we're starting with you, Epic Man.
Okay. Anime influenced me. How much it did. Okay. Well, I would say it does a lot, especially for my young adult life right now. Because back when I was a kid, like I said, I was not into anime. I was just mostly into cartoons. Pokemon was part of them, even though I was acting it like it was just another cartoon. I was not thinking it was an anime per se because it was airing on Cartoon Network, and everything I saw, I thought it was just cartoons, because it's animation and whatnot. And with anime, being that it has been going into my daily lives now since I watched Sword Art Online, when my friend recommended it to me, I've been going through this deep rabbit hole of knowing how anime works and how it does to people for how they watch, how they excuse me, how they take their time to put out for these shows to watch in their lives. It can be very time consuming. Like, it was no different than how I watch TV shows, because I used to do this thing where I binge watch a lot of the seasons of The Walking Dead before they had to do a new one, because I just want to catch up and see how it goes. But but I did want to see a lot of these shows because I wanted to catch up. And anime it shows me about how different it was culture-wise for Japan, because I liked a lot about how Japan is in culture-wise and how people are, different than us. and it makes me, open my mind about how people are and how they see us and how we see them. Just seeing how amazing things are, because it makes me want to go to Japan, which I did back in 2017, and I loved it. Everything about it. I went to Osaka specifically. Me and my mom and my aunt and a friend, we all went together to check out the place. It's amazing. Like, because we're gonna be planning on going back there again because we wanted to see more of it. We're probably gonna go to Tokyo and probably some other places too. So we're gonna go try and see where else can we go. But it's like just another new world for me, because watching cartoons was like being in a new world that I never thought I would be. And anime feels like a grander world for me to check out, because there's a lot of things you can do with anime. Just
Yeah.
seeing things that cartoons couldn't do. But even though cartoons can do things that anime can, but anime just feels like they just step up a notch, just in terms of quality, animation, animation, music, and voice acting, and especially with the Japanese dub. It is so beautiful to watch everything that you love, you have passion for, you just want to see everything about it for your characters and the world itself. You want to be a part of it,
Yeah.
and you have friends for you to watch with them and talk about it. It's just so amazing. And hey, I mean, I've seen many people go in and saying how much they love anime, how much they change for them for several reasons, and this is really just you know amazing to see, because people have been loving animes for just for the fun of it, for people to see how much they can consume and just enjoy and be part of it with cosplays and conventions, and doing the things that makes them a fan to become passionate fans. So
Yeah.
to show off how much they love for because they have the energy in them to do whatever, and
Yeah.
yeah, that it makes me want to have friends with people like these that just to talk about and be with them and have fun along the way, because it's all about having fun and cherish about the things you love, and and always make good memories too. So yeah,
Yep.
I think that's how it is for me.
All right. Hito, what about you? How has anime influenced your own life?
Let's just say I could have been a very dickish person if anime didn't come into my life. Um, it kind of made me already realize that people are kind of shit people to begin with. When it comes to liking things or talking about things that they enjoy, or stuff like that. Um, it just makes me feel at the end of the day that I really wanted to just not be like the people who disrespect the things that they love or don't say what they mean. It just made me more of a straightforward person.
Yeah.
And I definitely can say anime has helped me out along with video games, but mostly anime has helped me out, especially during my after my accident in middle school when I graduated. After my little situation, my accident, I had a lot of anime to watch at that time when I was in recovery,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
it definitely did not make me want to just like end a lot of shit. Does that make sense? Like it kept me somewhat sane and balanced with a lot of things.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
to this day, I've learned a lot from anime when it came down to it as well. And that means essentially learning how to pick out good story and pick out something that's not good story, especially in games. Because games can be very confusing at times with that too.
Mhm.
Overall, I love anime to this day. I've learned a lot, and honestly, if anime wasn't around, I'd probably be a different person than I was back then, and no one would probably like me in this call right now.
Mm. All right. All right. What about you, Zykrul? How much has anime influenced your life?
It's like it's the like again just fight with the Hito and the stigma of it. Though thankfully it wasn't as bad in my area, but you could still see it in the wild west of the internet back then. But yeah, I'm trying to think. One that has, like, I guess, like, not really true influence, but I still say it more as an amusement, is that the way Vash from Trigun adjusts his glasses with his middle finger. I've been doing that.
Yep.
For my life since he's done that. Something natural to me. Gurren Lagann. At the time, with its which is probably why it's my favorite, is pretty much its entire theme that you just don't give up no matter how much people try to tear you down. That at the time, which is why I want to get back to it at the time, it changed a lot, even though a lot of stuff later in life has pushed become hurdles, because back then it made me think of just do things. Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. I was in my late 20s, and it was part of the reason why I started doing things in my late 20s, early 30s, like learn like Japanese, which again I'm nowhere near that. That's been off and on project, but do enforce PAX, which is one of my things I'm glad I did during my 30s, because I've got to see great cities like Seattle and San Antonio and Boston, Philadelphia, and meeting great people at PAX. And the experience I've gotten from that has been a joy, and it yeah, no, it really it's like, because I grew up with a lot of what felt like not getting paid attention to, and that was mostly due to me having autism, and no one knew what the heck it was. Not enough info was on it, and it had the stigma of where if you knew somebody with autism, thanks to the news, they were violent people, which wasn't always the case. Which is why I will say it's not anime, but which is why I still like the show Criminal Minds, who had an autistic character on there who wasn't violent. He was just very talkative. So I liked how it was showing other aspects. Because don't get me wrong, yes, I don't want to say I was violent. I did act out a lot as a kid, but no, who wouldn't? But it was just the stigma of it. That's all you ever saw on the news, is them being violent. Like, I didn't like that. And through anime, I learned a lot of the expressions and faces and all that, and understanding characters, the character types, the Sudanes, the Yandrars, the Stoics, and all that, and helped me. It was sort of like people watching, but through anime.
Yeah.
And that helped me get through to understanding things. It's one of the reasons, like, I love Love Live on its own right, but Daya in Sunshine is one of the reasons why I like it, because there's a lot of situations in that show where I can relate with her, with the uncomfortableness of meeting people or talking with them on more of a friendly level than and how other people have it so easier than I. A perfectionist as well as I can be with things. What else do I have? What is it? And like I said, that's when with the Gurren Lagann, like I say, go up, and back then, I would like to go back to it. I walked every day. I did P90X. I was like I said, before life hit again. I mean, I was very active. I even was on a semi-pro football team for a bit in my local town.
Wow.
And
Very good.
yeah, no, it changed. Like I said, it helped me get me out there because I tend to be locked up because I didn't really have many friends in person, and to an extent, the internet kind of helped as well, meeting other people with the same likeness of anime,
Yeah.
and chatting it up. And the conventions, that really helped. I don't know where I would be if I didn't have the internet to help me with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's been mostly my influence, and like I said, it was the constant headbanging of the Gurren Lagann, of where it doesn't matter what people say about knocking you down, we're gonna keep going. We're going to do what we want.
Yeah.
We're gonna reach for the heavens. So.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, Silver, what about you? How much has anime influenced your own life?
Well, wow. That's how I'll be watching Zykrul's wonderful tale there. But for me, I think it's a matter of just like realizing how the stories have been like impacted like my life, I guess. Because for a while, obviously there was movies, there were TV shows, there were cartoons. I never thought there'd be like kind of like another medium that would be like at that level, that would tell such solid stories. Because again, for the longest time, cartoons were just like these things that would just like rot your brain as a kid. They were all just dumb and didn't have much morals, anything like that. But through anime, I think that was like my first real taste of like actual proper, storytelling, like animated storytelling. Like very compelling characters, very compelling scenarios. A lot of like just great like, I guess like moments that were created. Like I remember like being in awe of like seeing like the forest spirit in Mononoke for the first time. Like how beautiful that was. Again, my first time seeing Fulikula is like how like batshit insane like something can be. But at the same time, even though it's like doing all these wild crazy things, there is still like a message like that is like tucked behind it all. And like, I say how like there's always a time where like I just rewatch Fulikuli and I always get something like new out of it every time because like it feels like the more I like rewatch it, the more like things I like learn because it's not like a one and done show. Like you'll like go in there and you'll catch something that you missed out on entirely the first time or the second time around. If you're like looking at it really closely, digging into like the metaphors and stuff like that, you'll understand like what they're trying to impart. And then like when I was like really getting into like anime, like I think at the time I was just like so tired of like a lot of like the live action shows that were at the time. Like I think at that point where I really pivoted to anime, like Cartoon was kind of like in their weird like see and real era, so to speak. So they were like starting to kind of lose me in a way. In the beginning, I actually was not liking like how they were like transitioning away from like the cartoons of the old. Like a lot of the shows were getting old or like they were like wrapping up, and then the new ones on the block just weren't really as compelling. I'd say Johnny Test was okay. Kid Story was still pretty great. Flapjack was like alright. I really didn't like Chowder that much, honestly.
Yeah.
Chowder's it's coming around, but like I didn't really get into it that much. And then there was like other shows that just didn't really get interested. Ben 10 was fine for a while. Then it got then they got
That's
off the rails. And also full disclaimer, I actually did not like Adventure Time when it first came out.
How dare no?
No, I mean, again, I get I was teamed out. Like I thought, like with shows like Adventure Time regular show, like I didn't get like what was the appeal about them. Eventually, I come around and like I liked both those shows, and same with Steven Universe. But like at that point, like I just wasn't because like I felt like anime was like kind of like where it was because like pivoting from like cartoons that they were, because I felt like they were like losing their spark, so to speak. Like I felt like I was getting like my really interesting storytelling, stuff from anime. I felt like not that I was like too old for cartoons, so to speak. But I felt like I needed something that was a little bit more, sophisticated, so to speak. Right.
Like really, the only show I could say cartoon there that would be anime like that helped on my time was Avatar.
Right. Yeah. I feel like Avatar was kind of like really the only like Western animated like thing that was like more or less like a step between anime and Western animation. You know, that was like holding me up
Mhm.
for a
The
good
bridge
long while.
The
The
bridge
bridge, yeah,
between the physical world and the spirit world. The bridge between Western animation and
literally.
anime.
Yep.
Right, and I mean, I went to my phase where like I was binging series like left and right. Like I was like clearing out like different 12 episode like anime like weekly. You know, like I like not like I remember that summer. I remember this was 2008. Like I was like just I was just like another bored kid in there, like wondering like what to watch because like you know. I was getting tired of all the syndicated stuff that was on television. You know, they were okay, but like they were. I was like, you know, I wanted something else. So what else do I do? I find, you know, some CD anime a site that has like something that's like decently at 480p or whatever, and I'm just watching, you know, I'm watching Ikitosen, I'm watching School Days, you know, bless my soul for that. I'm watching like Sekirei, like, and then also like I feel like also the second big move for me was Netflix, because like I actually like watched a lot of Netflix on my 3DS actually. So when the 3DS like. Yeah,
wow.
when Netflix 3DS came out, like I watched a lot of Netflix on my 3DS.
Yeah, me too.
But back then, like Funimation was like on it. Like you know, there was Sekirei, there was Baka and Test, there was fucking Girls Bravo. There was like, so many different shows that I can remember from watching on Netflix alone. Like I've honestly like lost count. You know, and then eventually when I got seasonal, you know, it was Summer Ananatsu, Golden Time, Kill the Kill. Oh my god, this I mean like Nichijou.
It's CVS listing receipt.
Right, Sword Art Online, you know, all that stuff. Like, and like I feel like yeah, like and then switching to like seasonal was like the great thing because like I was also getting into using a lot of Reddit, you know, and I was like in love like these online communities back then, like on our anime, and like I would like watch these shows like along with people and stuff like that. So like my tastes were like just forming over and over, you know, in that point. You know, but I wouldn't forget like the stuff that I grew up watching on, like, say, you know, Adult Swim or Toonami, you know, Big O, Bleach, Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, Ghost in the Shell, Kakaishi was there for a bit. You know, I was on Toonami. I did miss out mostly on Naruto, I'd say, because like it's funny. Okay, funny story about this real quick. I just want to rule back. When I was living in Jamaica, like we had like American Cartoon Network. The day before Naruto premiered on Toonami, they switched it to Latin America Latin America Cartoon Network, and I missed it.
Oh.
And Naruto didn't get broadcasted on Latin American Cartoon Network for like a year and a half. So like everyone I remember coming back that weekend, like, and then like everyone was talking about like Naruto. I'm like, yeah, like my cable provider at the time, like back then, it was kind of a little bit renegade back in Jamaica. There was no centralized like cable provisions. There was always like a bunch of companies. They just for some reason they switched it over from American Cartoon Network to Latin American Cartoon Network, and I know it was Latin American, like not that it was in Spanish or anything like that, but like you know that like the commercials were different. They were promoting like a lot like Latin American products, stuff like that. And I'm like, what the hell? You know, it's weird. No, but back to the question of like how's it foreign, like just like my life in general. Like
they found out you were living there, so.
crazy. I know, right? But like, I mean, it fed into like also like my general, I guess, obsession with Japan. I guess because like I remember, you know, you get to like a lot of anime, you learn about like, you know, the lifestyle like of Japanese people, you know, the culture, the food, you know, the tourism and stuff like that. Like I remember researching it in school for like a project, and like I remember being so enamored with it. And also wanted to learn Japanese, obviously. You know, a lot of like J-rock and J-pop artists. Hatsune Miku, you know, Vocaloid was extremely popular. You know, like it was more like just a huge gateway into like that kind of like, you know, that kind of like just huge like just world that I thought would never, you know, it was a if anything to me, anime was very like, you know, kind of like globalization, but like it's more like Japan centric, I'd say. Yeah. Like Japan was like really, you know, the cool country, right? Mm-hmm. You know, like it seemed like nothing back ever from Japan. Like, you know, they had all the games, they had all the crazy tech, they had all the gadgets. You know, all the stuff that was being imported over from.
Like they were always like modern for tech and all.
Right. Right. Yeah. It felt like they were like
they were D2 for tech, and
like they're on on the cusp of like just like, you know, of the modern. You know, and like nowadays, you know, like I have like, you know. I have like various like, you know, things that influence like a lot of my work. Like when I did like a lot of writing, I did lift from like a lot of like anime that I watched because like I figured nobody would know the difference. I'm just my own spin of it. Like maybe it's like legally distinct fan fiction, but like there were like ideas that I saw in anime. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I could like use that for like something I write or something that I want to work on. Like it has influenced like a lot of like my creative process. It's like storytelling, of course, is very fluid and like a lot of there's many different to tell a story, right? And like if you feel like that you can tell a story better, then you want to use that idea in like a different way. So again, I've learned a lot from Ghibli films. There's like so much that I've really just pulled from creatively from anime. Of course, drawing. My first bits of drawing were Dragon Ball Z characters. Like I remember copying it from there was like a local children's newspaper in Jamaica called the Children's Zone, where we would rip the newspapers like off by the paper. And like we would just like copy. Like, we were tracing as kids, obviously.
Yeah, but that's all.
Like,
that's the same thing in high school.
Right, exactly. Because like again, we learn from there. You start tracing, then you start making your own things, and then I was making like little comics and stuff like that. And then it kind of just escalated more and more and more. You just want to like take in all of that, that culture. Like I feel like that was amazing. Like granted, like I'm just because he went to Japan already. He's already visited. I still want to like be able to visit there for my own reasons, but like it's
same.
I'm glad to say that I'm a weeb, even though like I'll tease about that all the time. But like I really did like find like a fascination with like Japan because like it just anime was like the gateway to that stuff, and it seemed so cool. Granted, I like this is different from like bizarrely like fetishizing Japan. That's why people were like weeaboos. We don't. I don't think Japan is like the mecca of like oh it's better than America. Like I want to be Japanese. Like no, like not like that. Like I don't want to like that. To me that's disrespectful and also just fucking weird shit. Like really and truly. I don't think I've ever had like that kind of phase where I wanted to be like Japanese. It's just a matter of like just respecting the culture.
I think I'm turning Japanese.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
See, I do just with the anime. I grew up more with the. See, I love the history of it with the like the Edo period and the folklore and the myths. Like the girl from the moon and the bamboo stick and all that. Mushishi is an anime that goes into all that.
Right, Mushishi does go into that, and also like when I was like also learning about video game history, like I remember I was like hella into Nintendo, so like Nintendo's origins as playing card company, a lot of the stuff that they did back then, and then even to now, like I'm still interested in Japanese stuff because like Japanese city pop, and their artists and stuff like that. Like I found that like a lot of like those artists in that time did also record anime openings as well, like
the openings and closings.
Yeah.
Right, openings and closing. Like I remember Henri did Cat's Eye. There's like a lot of like different things here and there that I discovered. Like it's all been like a very like interesting like circle of like anime. I'm listening from anime, and then therefore it leads to something else like say like music or like a movie or something like that. It's a weird kind of thing. Like anime is treated it's so treated so reverently there. Like it is like legitimately like a tour de force. It's not like simple as cartoons or whatever. Like animation there is like a respected art, compared to like what we do like the Oscars every year by giving fucking things to Pixar every goddamn year,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Like I feel like I think that's why I pivoted from like a lot of like art cartoons at the time because I felt like they were always at a certain point, but they would never get like the full respect of like anime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and they always like what I like about Japan with the anime, and it's not just anime; it's everything. Is like they're innovative. They're not afraid to try things, and regardless if it's not going to do well or not, they just want to do it, and that's what I love about it. And like you were saying, all that like the fashion clothes. I'm not into it. They're like how they're not afraid, and that's what I like.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think like one thing I like added about it was like, God, I had it in my head for like a split second for more, but like also like just.
It's like each area, like you have Tokyo, you have Kyoto, you have all these places, but like
Sapporo,
each area is like its own world. Like you can go there and explore like the history of it, but then you can go to like Akihabara, which is it's still in Japan, but it's like it's its own. I mean,
Yeah, Kiba's like Nerd Central. You know, you've got a Hokkaido. It's like super like countries, but like it's like almost like a whole like distant kind of like culture unto itself. You know, because it's so like far from the like mainland.
Yeah.
Tokyo is like the center. Is like the heart of it's like the heart of Japan. Like no qualms about that. But like you go further outwards, and it's like a whole other different. There's all like sorts of like different like things about it that really makes like stand out.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
All right.
All right, Peter, I'll toss it back to you.
All right, so how much has anime influenced my own life? Well, to be honest with you, it's influenced my life a lot because it actually showed me like the different types of shows that I would come to expect from anime in comparison to American cartoons or like animation from other countries. And the thing is that France tends to have some influence from anime because they've aired some anime there. And France has been kind of mainstream with anime longer than the United States has. Like one of the biggest anime that would be within France, that it came from Japan to France, is Lupin the Third. They love that over there. They love Lupin the Third.
Yep.
They love Sailor Moon. They love Dragon Ball Z there. Dragon Ball Z is also popular in the Latin American countries as well.
Very much. Yeah.
And for me,
It's fun. It's fun to see the maps, seeing which animes are for each country that they like.
yeah. So for me personally, I really think that anime influenced me because of the type of the quality of the shows, the writing, the characters, that I felt that at the time I wouldn't really get that from American cartoons. This was a completely different type of show, like different types of a subgenre of animation, and I see it and it's not even just the art style, but rather the writing, the characters, the setting, the action. They go for something that I wouldn't really see much in kids' cartoons. Like, it's a lot more violent for some action shows. They have a lot of different themes that are more adult, more mature. But they do sometimes go way too far in certain aspects, like in regards to having certain violence. Like they would have some anime where like characters kill each other. There's anime where characters would have sex with each other. There's characters that have done so many different things you would not even expect to see in cartoons. And a lot of it is really good. A lot of it worked for me. There's a couple of things that would not work for me today because it just doesn't seem to work. It just doesn't really feel right. But most of the stuff, I'm like, yeah, let me get more of that. But my taste really grew from like the 90s to the 2000s and so on and so forth because of how like there were so many great shows that came out during that time. And for me, I think that anime just happens to be a much better medium for animation in North America. But that's just my personal opinion on it. Like, I will say though, I forgot to mention a couple of shows like Trigun and The Slayers. Like, I love those shows as well. Like, those are some of my top flavors. Yeah, Slayers is a great show. But yeah. I think I just really like the concept of how anime works and how different it was at the time. Like, there's still movies I have to watch. Like, I still need to watch Bubblegum Crisis. Hell, I need to watch Akira in full. I've only seen bits and pieces, but I need to watch it in full.
You gotta watch it.
And to add to that, I think what also influenced me with anime is that, yes, cartoons are great growing up, but anime also, I mean, along with books, introduced me on how different, like, the genres you have. It's like that you didn't get back then with cartoons, of how between the shonen, the fighting, the slice of life, the
Slice of life, and then all the variety that was there.
Yeah.
All the varieties.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a lot of there's like so many shows I did miss out on that I really got to catch up on.
Absolutely.
Like Excel Saga, for example. That's a show I need to watch.
That's all, yeah.
I do want to watch some of the Ghost in the Shell. Also, you know what's one other show I actually forgot to mention that I really liked? Neon Genesis Evangelion, because I remember first watching that back in 2003. Cartoon Network had a robot week. They had Gigantor. They had some other like robot anime, but they had 2 episodes of the first 2 episodes of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Oh, Great Teacher Onizuka, that's another one.
And GTO.
Oh, also, and this one's more of a guilty pleasure, even though it doesn't hold up today. Golden Boy.
Yeah, no, I mentioned Golden Boy too. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, it sounds so good.
Golden Boy, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll throw in real quick because I'm not sure if anyone is asked this as a question yet, but like I want to undercut them, but like is there like any like popular shows that we've watched that everyone's seen but like not us? Like is there like one popular show that's out there that that everyone else has watched but you?
Oh, DBZ.
Cowboy Bebop.
I couldn't stand it.
Well,
Demon Slayer.
I mean, my answer would have been One Piece, but I'm watching it right now, so.
And for me, it is actually JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah, that's another
I
one.
would say that
I
too.
see it. JoJo's another one. And see, for me with DBZ, I didn't watch it because I was like, who in the right mind would want to watch multiple episodes of the characters just talking while they're charging up their powers and not doing it for a week? But then I was like, oh man, Bleach is really awesome. I love this show. And like halfway through the second arc, I was like, wait a minute, this is the same exact thing as DBZ. I can't talk to it anymore.
Oh jeez, and filler and anime, like God.
But I don't know, because even though with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like there's some things that I thought was hilarious with some of the parts where one of my friends who read the manga before probably will be animated, where it involves with the president of the United States having to collect pieces of Jesus Christ himself.
Yeah,
to become the most powerful man in the universe. Like, what the is this? What are you looking?
I'll give JoJo like credit. They come up with like some wild ass storylines.
Yeah.
Like, all the powers are weird ass shit. Like, really, just some of the weirdest things that it's like something that you would never think about, but they can think of it more than you would imagine ever.
Oh yeah.
The first anime for me that was like, what the fuck, Japan, was Chobits.
Oh god, Chobits.
Chobits.
So
another one I want to say, because you were mentioning the shell with all that, is Paprika.
Oh, Paprika.
Oh yeah, that's a good one right there.
All right.
Paprika, Perfect Blue, Millennium Actress. Those are like phenomenal movies.
Yeah.
Really will fuck you up.
Well, I do have the questions right now that I want to start like answering, because this will be the last segment, like the questions from the community.
Okay.
All right.
Community questions.
This one comes from DM21. What anime series left an impact on you? How did they improve or change the view of your characters of the series as a whole, and or your point of view on life? And whichever one you guys want to answer first.
I can answer that with Gurren Lagann, so I can't really.
All right.
Yeah, we did sort of like answer that in a way, because like again for me it's fully cool because obviously it's all about like coming of age, growing up, shedding your childhood, and preparing for yourself for adulthood.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yep.
I actually do have a character that improved a lot through an anime. So I'm bringing up an anime that's kind of nowadays looked at with a little scoff, but Future Diary. Obvious reason.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Mirai Nikki. So one character I could see that was a really big improvement in the show itself was Ninth. Turning from basically traumatized terrorist to, okay, I actually will help you out and will sacrifice my life and will do everything. And it goes down the long line of she fell in love.
Oh yeah, Minene. Of course.
Minene.
Yeah.
Minene.
It's been a while since I gotta remember all this stuff. Because I did watch Future Diary in full.
Yeah.
I personally do not like the anime as much as I used to before. But
Oh yeah. You know, it's a crazy ass bitch. I wonder.
I mean, no one liked Yuno.
Well, not that.
You
Oh
know?
my god.
Sounds like a character from Mutant Galleon.
No one likes this guy. No one likes this guy either.
I still haven't watched like it in full. Like I've only like seen bits and pieces, but not like the full.
Yeah.
The full Monty.
Oh, the memes for even no, it's just
Yeah.
For me, it would have to be, and I would say it's embarrassing, but it's, I would say Issei from High School DxD, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm
There
it is. Because I think him as a character, even though he is just a quirky pervert guy, just likes to talk about girls and stuff, but he does have a good heart when it comes to protecting his friends and family, because he really deeply cares about them at the end of the day, because that's who he is, and that's why I see myself as, in a way, just, not all the way, but just that kind of heart for a character that will do whatever it takes, even if it cost him his life, which he did. Had moments where it literally almost killed him, and so he just wants to do it because he wants to protect them. So it shows me a lot about how characters wanting to do the things they want to do for their loves and their friends. That's like amazing to me.
Okay.
you say that, and that makes me think of which is why I like the character so much is Vash, because he has his crazy smart-ass side, but he also has his serious moments and not wanting people to get hurt or killed, and he'll do anything to prevent that if he can so help it.
Yeah.
Right. Like since I think he has those characters like I guess like Naruto from Fully Cooley, obviously. He grows up like, more or less like scornful and hating, not like hating the world, but like he tries to be like he tries to like act grown up even though he is still a kid. Like he's in a rush to kind of skip over like, his teenage years, kind of get to adulthood, but like at the same time, he is clearly grieving from he's still grieving about things. Like his brother has like gone to America to become a big star. His brother's little girlfriend's kind of like leering on him, which is kind of like a little bit kind of sus, but like it's kind of thing. It's a little weird. But like as they start to like get through like the antics of like Haruko and like the what's going on with Medical Mechanica, they start to learn a lot about like the people around them, Nina Mori and the rest of the gang. Realizing that Mamimi is just really just using him for her own like selfish gains, and then like realizing his love for Haruko, even though it can't really happen, so to speak, because she's great. She's after something greater than just Naruto.
Yeah.
But like I feel like Naruto grows in the sense that like realizing that hey, there's no rush to to be an adult, just be a kid for now. But like eventually you'll get to adulthood.
Yep.
Now there was what are I'm gonna say it wrong. Chionobu, the girl with the eye patch as well.
Yeah.
Shinibyo.
Yeah.
Rika Takanashi.
Yeah.
That was a great show. All right, what's up? Thanks for more questions.
All right.
Okay, so I haven't answered that question myself yet, but I'm going to do that right now, real quick. So to answer that question is for me, I'm going to have to say Yusuke Urameshi. And because he went from being just a typical juvenile delinquent in middle school, and eventually he learned so much from training with Genkai, from his death in the beginning of the series, to like all the fights, all the people he's ever met, his friends, his enemies. He's learned a whole lot. And he has definitely improved a lot more, except for the fact the only thing that has never improved was his commitment to like keeping promises with Keiko, except for maybe one, but most of the time he could not really keep promises with people. But other than that, everything's been fine for him. All right, next question. I'm going to only answer two things from Dragon because so Dragon, you're the next one. The one that I was thinking about, the one that I was thinking about just answering is, how do you feel about filler arcs in anime, and what's the best way to handle them? So,
I can
Oh,
answer
Oh
this.
boy.
So I want Hito. It sounds like you want to go first with this one. Go ahead.
Oh, I definitely do. So here's the thing. I'm okay with filler moments and filler arcs that may have been cut out from the manga that would have been interesting to look into. Example, Naruto was a big one on filler. But here's the thing, some of the filler actually worked. Example, during the tuning exams, they didn't show 1010 versus Tamari. They just blinked and it was over. We actually got details on how she was beaten, which was great. Most of the tuning exam had a lot of things cut out in the manga, but the good news is they added some form of filler to it. I would say don't add filler episodes, add filler moments to manga moments. In other words, we shouldn't have a whole arc full of filler. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's why I get pissed off at Naruto specifically, because they were guilty of having full filler arcs. Same with Bleach. Bleach went downhill.
That's the poster child of it.
Like, mind you, the Bount arc was not necessary, especially if things were going to get devolved and wouldn't matter in the following arc. My main point is the fact that if you're going to make filler in an anime, don't make it a whole entire season. It's not important. It really
They
is
did that
not.
so many times in Bleach. It's gotten to the point to where it's like people have, hey, you want to watch Bleach? These are all the filler arcs. This is the show. There's like more filler than show.
Yeah.
And then here's the worst part about it. The thing is, it gets confusing in the anime because the thing is, you'll come back from just seeing that arc thinking it was important, but then when you go to that next season where it's actually important and a part of the manga, they're like, oh, well, I'm going to use this, but didn't you get this power up from this filler? Oh, that was filler. That's not important. But you could. And it's annoying to look at. Like, mind you, don't have filler arcs. Have things that are filler in an episode or something that was related to the manga. And the rule of thumb is Naruto was handling filler very well until they started making arcs of filler. And that was not necessary. When you add filler to an episode, like things, for example, if you didn't see, like, for example, if the manga didn't show 1010 versus Tamari, it just showed a cut of her being stuck to the fan at the back. But then the anime added a whole fight sequence with them, at least, that didn't take up a whole episode at the very least. It worked. It worked because the thing was, it showed how quickly filler can help.
Yep.
It can elongate the anime a little bit. And I understand that sometimes anime needs to be elongated. But the thing is, a whole arc is not going to help. In fact, it's going to kill off some of the progress you already made. Especially in One Piece, where it is canonically stupid, where some of the filler arc is not necessary. And I look at it with such disdain. Because I'm like, you're already... One Piece itself is already long enough.
Yeah.
You don't need One Piece does not need fucking filler.
It doesn't. No.
Okay, it never needed filler. I don't know what the company that was now managing this anime was thinking, but One Piece never needed filler. It was already interesting enough as it was. You did not need to add any more. It's already 1,000 episodes long, and mind you, it wouldn't be 1,000 episodes long if some of that filler was cut out. I assure you of that.
Yeah. Let's just say my answer is pretty much the exact same as Hito's, so I don't really have anything else to add to that one.
Yeah, that's same. That was with me with Bleach. That was unfortunate because it was like I really enjoyed the show, but then I was like confused. Like, okay, bout's over.
Yeah.
But a lot of the filler arcs in Bleach did end, so that you know that they didn't continue the next one. It's just unfortunate they didn't really announce which ones were filler and which ones weren't. They just got the 90s and early aughts were a horrible time because the anime would catch up to the manga so quickly that they thought, well, to satiate the fans, they figured the filler episodes would work out, and sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't.
Yeah.
I remember Tite Kubo was not a huge fan because he thought that I remember him marking that it shouldn't have been the arc. I forget the name of it, but it's the very arc of the ones the Blades had their own character versions of themselves. He felt that shouldn't have been a thing. It's just, but yeah, I'm trying to think of what shows had decent filler episodes, and none's coming to me. But I've known I've seen shows that have done it well.
Yeah.
Well,
Silver Epic.
well,
Mm.
it goes to
Well-
show that things like this keeps happening, like with shows being filler. I mean, there's always a reason why they do these things. There's plenty of reasons, and one show did its best to talk about that, and that was Gintama.
Gintama.
They told
Yeah.
about how
They-
filler episodes were a thing because of with catching up with manga, or they want to make
Or-
this as long as possible because they wanted to make the show keep running longer and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, like a lot of people say like Bleach is like the poster child. Like honestly, to me, the actual poster child for like unnecessary filler in anime, Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They had to make Brotherhood because like Fullmetal Alchemist.
Okay. I was gonna say, as long as you're not talking about Brotherhood, then, because like Brotherhood.
No. Brotherhood is Brotherhood.
We would
is
have
the
words.
Brotherhood is the correct one. The OG Fullmetal Alchemist went way off course because the problem was like they started going in different directions pretty much.
Yes.
And
They had to go in a different direction. The manga wasn't caught up.
the manga couldn't catch up, and the thing is like it was so popular it couldn't keep going, so the wheels practically fell off. So and Gintama called that shit out because it's like, yeah, look, sometimes the idea is like, oh, like it starts here and then it merges with the manga as it's running there, but like the thing is sometimes it might go ahead, so they gotta like filler to kind of like veer off track, and then until they come back here and again, like for example, Horimiya did like all the main arc in its first season. The second season is all the shit that they didn't like animate for the first season, pretty much. Like all the not like all the side content, but like just all the stuff that wasn't really as important to like the main love story. So,
Right.
and again, like, and this is an issue because like I watch mostly like 12 episode, 13 episode, 26 episode anime. There's not really much need for filler in those because like especially with it's like the first, second seasons, like they're adapting freak from the manga. So by the time in between the times that they're in break and they come up for another season, the manga is like already ahead, so they just have more chapters to kind of animate. So by the time that they're done, they're caught up. Manga has to like do its thing, and then they catch up again in like 12 episodes.
Right.
For shonen,
Yeah.
I was like for shonen, like they're gonna have the problem because like obviously they're gonna need to like work with like a lot of material, and like if they're like catching up, if they're like on par with that, then they gotta like really like make amends to either hold off or come up with like some arc to like kind of keep like a side story.
Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
and I was going to add is that a lot with the anime is that the one of the major issues why it would always catch up is that each episode would tend to be like 3 or 4 chapters of the manga.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like so, yeah. Like one chapter does not an episode make it. Like it'd be like multiple chapters an episode. So I will say like how like when I've been reading since I'm now more reading manga, like I realize how condensed like anime is compared to like the chapters of like manga. Manga like can stretch out because like obviously it's like a lot more. They're a lot more detail oriented. That they'll put in like as much as possible as needed.
Well, they have more freedom. There's no time limit. There's no time constraint.
Right. There's no time limit. Right. Like I'd say for anime, obviously like there's time. Because they gotta animate these things like on a week by week basis. They gotta decide like what to cut, what to like animate like later. Stuff they'll put as extras for like the Blu-ray release or whatever. They have to prioritize like the main arcs, because anything that was like kind of like a side thing that they did in manga usually can end up being like cut out entirely. Like they've done manga where like different like whole like side arcs that have been like chopped out and now they're provided as their own arc, so to speak.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or like I even like with Bleach. I mean, there's other examples, but Bleach was one I read the manga because there was a lot of like they included in the show, but it was like in a way censored because it was too much for the show to to air and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right.
I will say
saying-
this one
you're saying-
thing though.
Yeah.
There's certain other reasons that I did learn from where if a studio wanted to make something different, they would have to they wanted to make something different to make their own original stuff, like with original anime, trying to be different than what the original source was. Where there's some dispute that happened in the studio where this happened with High School DxD in season 3, where in the last 3 episodes there was a dispute where something happened in the studio. I forgot what it was exactly, but something happened that it splits the team up, or they want to change the ending or change a storyline, and fans of the original source did not like what they were going for. They didn't like what they did with changing the characters, not changing him, but changing the story lore differently than how it was supposed to be for what was in a light novel in the manga.
Yeah.
And then they had to um they had to just make their own original ending for the season 3 because the studio TNK wanted to stop doing High School DxD altogether, so they want to do this instead. Before we had to get another studio, Passion, to make the actual continuation from what season 3 should have end off with,
Yeah.
and continue on from there on, because they didn't TNK want to be done with High School DxD and just go to do other stuff. And yeah, like that is like, because sometimes not all studios would just do with filler like that, where because of mangas or trying to catch up and stuff because of that. No, because sometimes there may be some weird decisions with the people inside the studio to make up stuff like this, to just change things in the anime like that too. So that could be
same thing with Bleach, because Taikubo was like, he was done, but yet Shonen Jump was like, no.
Yep.
Gotta keep going.
They keep going, man. Do you got money?
Yeah. Anyway, so this one could be a quick one we can answer. From Dari, what are your favorite anime genres? Action, slice of life is also pretty good. Magical Girl is also pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I have that on my list. I have Avant-Garde, I have Supernatural, Sci-Fi.
Yeah, Sci-Fi's good.
Ecchi.
Yeah.
Even though, hey, sometimes it hits pretty good. Shoujo anime looking like really good.
Yeah.
I honestly don't have a particular genre. I just watch, and if I like it, I like it.
Okay.
That's me.
Fair.
It just same here, but more often than not, I tend to lean towards like these, like especially Slice of Life is my go-to.
I don't like
stuff like that, but
there are some that I don't really like feel I'm not particular to, because like sometimes I'll like watch like like mecha anime, for example, but not all the time. Again, me and Isekai have like a very like rough relationship when it comes to like just really seeing like all the tropiness of it, and sometimes it's just like really bad Isekai. But generally, like I find that obviously like a lot of action is very, very good. Mystery anime can be really solid, especially if they have a very compelling mystery that like it's the same throughout the whole series, so to speak.
Yeah.
I don't watch too much horror because like I'm too much of a scared bitch. It's not really watching like a lot of stuff. I'll be completely honest.
Ghost Stories? What? No.
Ghost Stories is not. Ghost Stories is fucking hilarious. Ghost Stories. Is not. No.
Dude, I watch it every October.
But do you do you not like horror with like actual like suspense, or you don't like ones where they just have
okay, like a thriller, suspenseful, like horror, like thing? More than likely, yeah. But like something that's like overly gory or like all about this like shock value, like I don't really like that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't like Elfen Lied then?
What's it called?
Elfen Lied is such a freaking I
figured that was the response. Just waiting.
Elfen Lied is a whole thing to itself. Like, God, I can't remember any that was like on the level of that I watched in the past.
Yep.
Maybe like this ugly beautiful world, but like that wasn't really very scary. That was just more like weird. People was kind of horror-ish, but like it was just really bad. So like I wasn't really getting the full like scope of like horror.
Yeah.
Parasite the Maximum I never did watch because like I think at that point when Parasite was coming out, I kind of was like slightly tuning out of anime and like starting to shift towards manga. But no, man. Like my go-to was just a really slice of life, because like slice of life, a lot of people feel like it can be boring, but like honestly, like I didn't mind it as much, because like if they find like a way to like really make it interesting, and also like just any like comedy anime, like if it can make me laugh, then I'm sold. Like I'm always down for like a good laugh in anime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like that. I'm with you.
And also a good like romance, obviously.
Yeah. Oh my god, not romance there, but
Fruits Basket. That kind of stuff.
I go for a lot of slice of life stuff for my time, because I do like the calmness, the relaxation moments with you want to see what people are doing in such a life in the adulthood or in school. You know, like you want to see what's going on in something that you probably never had in your life, or maybe you just never did something like in high school, or you just you want to see what things that you never done before in animation form, like just a lot of these stuff with slice of life. I like seeing these as long as they're interesting and characters being fun and all, like those I like when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But I do also like action. I like supernatural comedy. I like I like harem ones as well, ecchi, and just like those I do like a lot for these genres. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You were gonna say something, Zykrul?
Yeah, go. I can let Hito go first. It's fine. Just in line.
Oh no! Because I was about to ask. I was gonna read the next thing, which because I know Maverick posted a question, but we already pretty much answered it. Because he was asking what series introduced us to anime, which we pretty much already answered that one in the beginning.
Right. So,
but I will say we're gonna come back to Ice Pick's first question later on. I want to save that one for last, actually, because that's a big topic. But I will answer one of his other questions now, which is, how do you feel about English dubs that take massive liberties with the source material, like Samurai Pizza Cat's Ghost Stories? That one, I don't think we could spend too much time on talking because we could just gloss over this one. But I'll say this:
I mean,
it's a case by case basis.
Like Ghost Story, they gave them free reign. The company themselves gave them free reign to do what they wanted to do with that show.
Yeah, because the Japanese version wasn't doing too well in Japan, so they just gave the people for the English version to do whatever they want, and then they'd be like, "Hey, it'd be funny if we make fun of the show and we just say some nonsense shit." And let's do it.
Like they did give them like instructions, like, "Hey, don't change too much. Like, kind of keep it within like the realm of the show." Yeah. Obviously, like they I feel they did have rules. Like they could have gone like way off course, but I believe there were
they
like
did.
rules.
They could have just go way off where they say some stuff that doesn't make any sense on the screen.
Yeah.
Like, they have,
right.
To specify what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I was saying like okay, so there are 3 rules. 1, don't change the character names, including the ghosts. Don't change the way the ghosts are slain, and don't change the core meaning of each episode.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 rules that they were given.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like those are like just those basic rules, but they can just do whatever. Which
but they can work within the parameters, right? Yeah, exactly.
But in the case of Samurai Pizza Cats in Japan, they were actually not samurais; they're ninjas.
Right.
Yeah.
They're pretty.
And else,
Hito, do you have any?
If we're gonna add into the whole thing, 4 kids definitely was a big issue when it came to that.
Yeah, they really are.
God.
There was shit missing. There was shit not translated correctly, and definitely would be a whole situation. If you're gonna do a dub, at least do it right.
Yeah.
Get the translations done. Make sure everything is there and all details of what's happening is in there. Because honestly, if you're missing details on that, people are gonna question what's going on.
Yep.
See, the one thing I'll say about that right now, like back then, localization was like a much different breed because like back then they weren't counting on like a lot of people to like really like understand the original like inflections that they were going for. Nowadays anime fans are smarter because obviously like things are like simulcast, things are a lot more getting globalized. Everyone like knows everything, so to speak. But like
like everyone was recommending fan translations more than the actual translations.
Right. Fan subs or whatever.
But to be fair, Silver, on that situation, when you think about it. Crap, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. Okay, yeah, no. So what I was going to say was, but in essence with that, that's why a bridge series exists. That's why people made a bridge series right off the bat, because they make jokes about the situation of things that were not edited correctly and things that were not, like, translated correctly. This is why we have a bridge series that make fun of this shit. That's why Dragon Ball Z and Yu-Gi-Oh! For the longest had so many fucking material to use against it because it was not translated or done correctly.
Yeah, but then we have the later series of DBZ with those lines that are actually canon.
Yep. Hey, look, it's apple juice.
Yeah.
Hey, now it's milk. Now it's beer.
Yep.
Great beer.
We'll get back to Ice Pick's other question in a little bit because that is the big one. But I want to go to the only other question that we're going to do is aside from that is Shad's. which is, do anime have to be created in Japan, or can an anime show from another country that emulates the style and tropes count?
I'm very interested in this question, actually.
So, what do you? My answer to that question is, it's hard for me to say because
it's a little bit of a mix, to be honest.
I never been a hardliner about that.
I don't.
I'd say back then I was a little bit of a hardliner, where like for me, like I don't see her as like distinctly anime. It is Western animation. Ruby was also another thing, whereas it was animated Western, but again, Ruby did get an anime, so technically it does.
But the thing is, it's still the original show is still Western animation.
See, again, I feel like it doesn't matter anymore, but at the same time, I feel it doesn't matter anymore because there's like a lot of like shows that do take inspiration from like animation, from Japanese anime. Look like Dragon brought Code Lyoko.
Yeah,
like
French Canadian animation.
But to me,
it's not a Japanese anime. It came from France.
Right.
Yeah.
See, this thing, I define anime as like animated like thing coming from Japan specifically.
See, as someone who grew up in the, because I even wrote about this on this because it made me think, because I feel like, nothing against you guys, someone who actually grew up when it was like new in those decades, it is, again, a lot of what you said is what I agree on, and I felt like back then, in the 90s, it was niche, and anime was synonymous with Japan, and that's never gonna go away. That's always good. When you say anime, the first thing you're gonna think of is Japan. That's always gonna be the case.
I mean, back then the old term was Japanimation.
Yeah,
right, Japanimation, right, and it's a borrowed word with them. But however, throughout the years, I feel like, to me personally, is that it's the even if it's the style, some companies may still call it a cartoon, just like how Bee and Puppy Cat and Avatar are considered cartoons, but they were outsourced to Eastern animation studios. Korean, so would you really, like, I even looked up the other day, like Avatar, half of their episodes are Korean animated outsourced, so like it's half anime, but again, that's Eastern. But you also have companies that do the anime style, which again is Japan, that are located in other countries that have no connections to Japan. So I feel like, the style is going to be with Japan, but no, it does not need to be made in Japan to be considered anime, because like it's just the style itself.
You know what's another show that is like that? Sorry.
Hito?
You go ahead.
What I was gonna say was the main aspect of this is, I'm sorry, but Japanese anime is gonna be strictly Japan at the end of the day. No questions asked. And here's why. We can say whatever we want at the end of the day, that we have things from we have Western made cartoons made with certain Korean artifacts, all of that, but the original source is still from the Western people. Second, it's okay for them to have the animations from other places, but that's what we call anime influenced media, not the original source of where anime comes from. If an anime is coming from Japan, it's going to be Japan. If you're going to have something like Avatar or Bee and Puppy Cat, that is what we call Japanese influenced media, which is basically not anime,
anime-like.
Japanese, but it's anime-like. And there's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day, but it's not going to truly be where Japan homes it and where it came from.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah.
And also the other thing that also what would call the anime, where the frame rates, where anime has always been where they always have lesser frame rates than what we use in America for cartoons, where they try to make it less frames so that way they can have an easier time to get things done, to put it on screen. And like that's how they want to go make it different a bit than just making it just look like it's just another cartoon. So they wanted to make it distinctly bit different than our American animations.
Yeah.
So,
Now here's something before we go into like Icepick's last question we're gonna get to in a moment, the whole sub versus dub thing. We're gonna get to that. I just want to say real quick. remember back in like the 80s and even some parts of the 90s, we did have American cartoons that were outsourced to Japan, like Toei Animation, TMS, many other companies at the time. They did animation for American companies like one company called Murakami Wolf Swenson or Fred Wolf Studios. They made Ninja Turtles and all that. Then you have Deke Entertainment. So many of these companies, they outsource from Toei, from TMS, just so that they can get some animation. That's why there's a lot of cartoons that actually look like anime, but they're not really anime because they were anime in Japan.
Yeah.
They were outsourced so that they could be brought over to the United States because back then it was cheaper to do it than in the United States itself. So
Right.
I just wanted.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I just wanted to bring that up. That's all.
But like you also have coming on because again, like you have studios that's not Japan, like Netflix that gives you Castlevania, that gives you Cyberpunk, that gives you The Last Song as well. They are all considered anime. I know it's Studio Trigger that made Cyberpunk, but again,
Can't understand.
it's you have companies that are outside Japan that makes those.
Like
It's really all a blur now. But again, yeah, it's like if anime. Like I said, the anime it's just like I said, the style originated in Japan, so it's always going to be tied with that.
yeah,
I was gonna say there's one show that we should all remember that wanted to try to be like anime, but it's still a cartoon. Teen Titans.
yeah. Teen Titans was one of those too.
Yeah,
It does the big expression faces that like you've seen in classic animes, and just to make it more fun and unique and different like that. But it's still a cartoon at the end of the day too.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not like the actual anime with the saucepan eyes.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
Like that, or like Voltron or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now let's talk about the sub versus dub, because Icepick says it like this. Yes. Do you have a preference between sub versus dub? And if so, why? Let's do it. This is the last question we're answering for tonight.
And Posey D did a small skit with sub versus dub on that, just hilarious.
All right.
I could pretty much sum it up like this. I don't give a fuck. Let's make this very let me make this clear. I don't give a crap about the sub or dub, because the thing is, I will watch both, honestly. The sub, I watch when I'm actually sitting down and have a moment to relax. The dub is what I listen to when I'm doing multiple things. Plain and simple. And I usually make sure beforehand that some of it will track up to the everything, because sometimes I'll end up rewatching the episodes again. Yeah, sometimes I'll end up rewatching the episodes again, but in sub instead of dub.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to do that. So I make sure at the end of the day, just in case anything were to happen, I didn't miss anything. So that's why I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, the whole sub-dub nonsense, it's nonsense. People take it too crazy, and half the time, the gatekeeping people of anime are like, oh, you watch that thing in dub? You must not really, you must really not respect the lifestyle of Japan. And at that point, I'm like, no, I just can't do 10 things at once and try to read something. I'm sorry. Yeah. If that pisses you off, too bad. I don't care. But at the end of the day, the whole sub and dub thing, that also brings forth the elitist anime fans, and I hate that so much.
Oh, I'm gonna go off on that when I get to talk about it.
Just because you read it in sub does not mean that you are better than everyone. Calm your titties down. Calm your brain down. That ego of yours needs to take a few flights down the stairs. Because honestly, it's so stupid. And then I can't even make this even much more pinnacle on this. But there are actually people who watch the shows without subs, and even then, they're not better than you at the end of the day. So quit your shit. Seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, so sub versus dub. What do I prefer? I have no preference. I like both. I like sub. I like dub. I don't think one is better than the other. Sure, if you want to watch an anime with subs, go right ahead. If you want to watch it with dub, go right ahead. They're both valid ways to watch anime. What gets me really angry is when people tell you that sub is the only correct way, and they get angry with you. Like, for example, like, you know how My Hero Academia, they tell you, I've actually had someone tell me, do not ever call it that, call it Boku no Hero Academia. They take it, they take it as if you just gave them a personal attack. Like, you basically just said a slur to them. They act that way, and I'm like, it's not that serious. It's My Hero Academia because that's the name of. Because here's the thing, Boku no Hero Academia does translate to My Hero Academia.
It's the same fucking thing.
It's the same fucking thing.
It's the same. Same thing.
Like, people said slurs to me because they want me to say it the right way. They get angry. They're like, say it. You better fucking say it, bitch. And I'm like, no, I don't have to fucking say whatever I want. I say whatever I want.
It sounds like there's one.
These people take it way too seriously. It's not that serious.
It's as if you were insulting people for saying Pokemon instead of Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. Like, at the end of the day, why does it even matter? Like,
it's the preference. Like, people just have some weird takes about why they think that this is the way it should be. Because Japanese, yes, they are from Japan. We get it, but you gotta admit that, like, saying these words are not gonna bode well for people's language because they say in English better than they say in Japan. You know, because people would say the English better than in Japan. It's still going to be the same name because, well, there's words in them. You can't just make it. It's not confusing.
Look,
you get it.
But sometimes I pose this. Sometimes I pose this as kind of a funny thing. Would you rather say Makanko Sappo or Special Beam Cannon?
Special Beam Cannon.
Exactly. It gets to the fucking point.
Special Beam Cannon, both.
Yeah.
But even then, like,
we talk about it. This makes me think, and when with the English of it, other times where, like, we tend to mix the two together, like from Death Note, just according to Kaikaku. So
according to Kaikaku. So I feel like
and then with the translation note on top. What I mean.
Okay, there was a time where, like, some fan members were just kind of really stupid with, like, because, like, some people just really had no business, like, subbing anime, like, period.
No,
like subs have gotten better. So have dubs. Like, granted, there's been, like, dubs that have been, like, subpar or lesser than, I'd say. Hell, I still prefer my favorite anime, again, Fully Cooley. I prefer the dub versus the sub because I feel like the dub just, like, has, like, a more character to it. Like Haruko, I feel like, to me, Haruko isn't Haruko, like, unless, like, we hear her in English, you know, by Carrie Walgren. Like, for me personally, like, I've had, like, no general preference. Like, for a long time, I would say I was like a hardliner, like, oh, sub versus dub. Like, for me, my interpretation was, like, I wanted to go with, like, director's intent first, and then the localized version of it to see, like, how it would stack up. So, you know, compared to the original, because, like, there have been some dubs that have been kind of whack. Like, I'll be honest, like, some dubs, I don't say that, like, they missed the point, but, like, either the way how they portray the characters just feels just off compared to, like, how it was portrayed originally, or I feel like some storylines, you know, the gravitas that it gets in, like, the original, like, version, it feels like washed out, like feels like watered down in, like, the dub. But again, it can vary. Like, you know, like Hito says, like, you know, sometimes, like, I can't be. It's hard to pay attention to subs. I want to be able to pay attention to the show, but also, like, when I'm busy doing something else. But also, like,
in that situation, Silver, like, one example of, like, legitimately a dub killing a character completely. What 4Kids basically did to Nico Robin, that really killed her whole character arc throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, no, God. Like, again,
no.
I forgot if there's any, like, dub that really, like, just, like, did, like, complete, like, character assassination that I could think of. I didn't watch How to Make Something Yell, like, it was like dub, but I know it was, like, kind of awful. I know, like, Maid Dragon had, like, a really weird dub when it came to Lukoa. But, like, there was, like, there was a point in time where, like, Funimation was doing these really, really odd, specific, you know, like, a little bit too, like, topical dubs, like those I don't really like because I feel like they date the product, like, tremendously.
Yeah, like, Funimation back in the day, like, years ago, they were getting flacked about how they handle dubs for a lot of reasons, because they've been always saying how like they've been changing the dubs from the sub version, the Japanese dub, to make it sound like obnoxious, saying how like they're going to be like, I guess, woke and all that stuff, because like they want to go for how they because that's what they did, and people go for them for that reason. And
I mean,
it's like really, huh?
Again, I see need to be progressive and everything, like, but at the same time, again, my major problem with it was that like when you do like something that's like too topical, it, like when you watch it again, it's so dated, like for example, like again, the whole bit about like inserting like an old like meme in like a Nintendo game, like for example when they put the Doge meme in like in Triforce Heroes on the 3DS, I felt that kind of like dated the game a little bit, because like I don't feel there was a need to re-put that in there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I could see like a need to like really like flare up the original product, but like sometimes it can go too far, I'd say. Where like the original intent is like muddied for the sake of a joke, or because I don't think they came up with anything better as a response to like going straight up word for word, because they felt like either it's too sensitive for like Western audiences or whatever. Because like again, localization happens because there's something that's in context fine in Japan, but like in America, it's either concept would be missed because like it's something that's inherently Japanese, or there's something that just would not fly in America, in general.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like one that comes to mind is like with the first episode. It's when Ash gets Pikachu, he points at his mouth, and I know in the Japanese context that they were doing a pun on the teeth, and not being hungry, but that they can't really translate that to America on that. It's impossible.
Right. They have to like kind of work around that, if anything. Hence why we see all those translation notes and like fan subs, because like sometimes fan subs are just like, look, I don't know what the fuck they're trying to really say here, but like here's like the context of like what we're trying to like bring over here, because some things just end up being just lost in translation. Like I can't imagine, for example, like I would never see in my day Gintama being subbed or dubbed, because there is so much context in Gintama that they're going with that could not like be localized for American audiences, because like it is inherently Japanese to a T.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's also I was gonna say like not necessarily bad, but not Gintama, but Love Live Sunshine. I always will recommend the sub. The voices acting is fine. It's the translations they make. It's for example, in the reason it's like I said with Daya, she's trying to understand how it's so easy for people to interact with each other. Like she has a hard time getting to know people, but yeah, unlike her sister, Ruby, who has an easy time, can easily chat with people, no issues at all. She's confused, and you see, there's a scene where the character is giving each other nicknames, and Daya's trying to understand why that is, and it doesn't come off because it's their way of translating the honorifics or the shortened names that they give each other for friendships, and it just seems like to me it hits more in that situation in the sub than the dub, and it's no fault of the dub. It's just it's hard to it just didn't have that impact in the dub scene for it, and it's unfortunate, but
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, were you gonna say something, Hito?
You say something? Yeah.
Some of the examples in this, for example, one of the worst examples of dubbing that really was not so great was Card Captors. Card Captor Sakura had two English dubs, one by Nelvana and the other one by Animex, and legitimately, both dubs did not handle the LGBT representation in that show correctly. It was really cringy, honestly. It was very, very cringy. And then, not to mention, Revolutionary Girl Utena really got hit really hard with the dub stick as well.
Yeah, Utena, yeah.
Because mind you, it's not the fact that it's Japanese influence only. It had a lot of French influences as well, which didn't translate correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So it was another thing. And then one of my other favorite animes, Angelic Layer, got smacked with the stick too. I felt like a lot of Clamp anime did not get their just desserts when it came to dubbing.
But again, there's some like I said, I will always, it doesn't even Japan, just it will always go for sub. And as I said earlier, some of I will go watch dub for some of my favorite actors like Steve Bloom as Spike Vegeta in Cowboy Bebop, and though I'm forgetting the name, he also plays the character, the gay character in Gurren Lagann. Or like Johnny Young Bosch in Vash. But one in particular I like the sub is because, as I said earlier when we were talking about this, is that Japan's voice actors tend to add that extra oomph to the emotions, to the emotional scenes, be it a sad moment or a mad moment, and all that. But you get their moments with the English dubs, which is why I like Johnny Young Bash and Steve Bloom and all that. But I forget her name, but it's if you really want to see like English dub emotion, I swear it's probably my favorite, or at least one of my favorites. Is she voices Envy in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and she just does a phenomenal job near the end of the series, being upset and all. It just blows you away on it.
I believe that's Wendy Powell.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did a quick Google.
All right.
I will say that from my preference is that I do tend to go for mostly sub, but it also depends on the timing too, because when dubs take time for it to be made, it takes a little bit long, or they try to do simulcast where they do it at the same day as sub comes out, like with My Hero Academia, where with like I tend to watch sub first, but sometimes I like to go ahead and get to see how dubbing sounds, because I get curious enough to hear what the sounding of what English versions would be like.
Yeah.
If it were to people to hear, how they would actually sound like. But sometimes, even with dubbing, they can make it feel a bit awkward, where there's some weird pitching and soundings of characters you don't even expect to make them hear of what the English version would be like, different than how the Japanese sound like, because they're like where female characters where they sound a bit high pitched. And then when you hear in English, they want to make it sound normal, and sometimes that threw people off, where they just think that, would I even like this version or that version? It gets you to think about that, like that.
Yep.
But a lot of Japanese anime studios tend to be a real stickler on having the voice sound exactly the same in English as it is too, because they want the character to have that same tone, the same deepness to it. They don't want it to be different. Another thing that I will say is that it like one of the cons with sub over dub is that you have it's like there's a translator that I used to I tend to fall off and on about translation, and they explained about how, like, in Japanese, again, the translation and all that stuff, the difficulty with that, and how and what to say to have the same context. But another one is that how they basically say you're missing out on 50% of the anime, in a sense that you're reading, and you're missing out on the depending on how fast you read, you're missing out on the emotions and the facial expressions during those moments, or the fact that you miss out on a lot of beats that you shouldn't be knowing how, like. With subs, you'll see that hyphen knowing they're going to get cut off, get interrupted, but you don't see that in dub because you're not supposed to be expecting it. So you get those moments where you lose out on the story moments that you want to.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, I mean, For that, yeah, I agree with that. But I will say, one thing that's like a little nitpick about why, not why, but something that I noticed about with subs where, it's not going to be 100% accurate for whatever words they put out there, the translations. Because I've always sometimes noticed about the soundings of certain words for certain words in Japanese to America, and they don't sound exactly how you would think they would write off in the translations, where I tend to look at that where as if I am actually trying to learn Japanese, which, by the way, probably not a great idea to learn Japanese that way by watching anime, even though there can be ways like you can just want to learn Japanese
There
like
are
that.
some shows. I actually made a note of that. There's one show in particular, especially for the beginners, is specifically
Like you could like watch some preschool shows of kids for Japanese that could probably help you learn all that.
Yep.
Because I mean, there has to be, if you want to learn how
It's trying not good to learn, but like definitely at least like if you feel like you like learn, you're doing like your own like site study and like you want to like try like watching with like no subs at all,
Yeah.
like
like walk your raw.
Oh yeah.
a perfect example. A lot of time, they even recommend to play like RPGs or some video games because they use a lot of katakana in that, and the simplistic form for that.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. I had it written down, and now it's not here. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just say like it's pretty nice like to see like for me to be like interested to see, because I really want to kind of learn in Japanese for my own time, and I do need to go back into it. And seeing anime like that, you could see and feel that you can learn from it, but you just want to enjoy it at the end of the day. But because I honestly don't mind whatever, sub or dub, it doesn't matter to me too.
Yeah.
But sub for me is honestly the way to go to get you that really good feeling of just watching this amazing show, for a lot of reasons. So that's for me.
Okay. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for the show. Before we wrap things up, so starting with you, Silver, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me anywhere and everywhere as long as you know my name, Sylverstone Khandr, over on Twitch, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram.
Yeah.
Co-host. Literally, for all my links, literally beacons.ai/Silverstone. It's got all the things you'd ever need to like know about me. So
All right.
use that.
All right, EpicMan, where can we find you?
All right, you can find me on twitch.tv/TheEpicManWorld. Find me on Twitter as well, TheEpicMan World, Blue Sky, TheEpicMan, and on Threads too, TheEpicMan World for that name. Yeah, I just mostly just vibe on the Twitter just to check out the stuff that people do and all that stuff. And Twitch, I stream. I'm gonna go back to streaming again, and yeah, like catch me up on that if you guys want to see some variety content.
All right. Hito, where can we find you?
So we're gonna wrap. I'm kidding. No, we're not gonna. Oh my god.
The Poke Rap from College
No.
We should sing the Poke Rap.
No.
Like every single Pokemon.
Is the Bear Boy host. I make content on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok. You can find my updates on Twitter, Insta, Blue Sky. You know what? No.
You committed for like a good bit. I thought it was like a whole bit. Right there, too.
It went a little bit off, but it was getting
No, you can. I make content on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok, and you can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. Fuck Twitter. I have one, but meh.
So what's Twitter?
Oh right.
X.
I'm not gonna call it that.
We don't call it that here.
I don't,
You know what?
I don't call it that.
Yeah, keep calling it Twitter regardless. But anyway, Zykrul, where can we find you?
Twitter. Hashtag Twitter is justice.
Yep.
You can find me on though I don't post a lot. Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads. I'm on Twitch. I haven't streamed in years, but I do want to get back to that.
Yeah.
You can mostly find me on Discord, though. I'm guaranteed to be on there.
Yep. And of course, you can find me pretty much almost anywhere in the stratosphere. Shellshock Prime, same name everywhere: Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Blue Sky, Threads, Hive, the MySpace, LiveJournal, and all that stuff.
LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, same name.
LinkedIn, Zanga. I can go on and on, but yeah, no, but seriously, like, this was a really good episode, and I appreciate you guys coming in for this. It's a big episode,
No, it was a lot of fun.
but anime is definitely a big topic. I don't know when the next episode is gonna be, but more likely, I think October 8th, because next week I'm not gonna be around, but the week after, yes, I will be around. And that's gonna do it. That's episode 25. Why We Love Anime. Goodbye.
See ya.
Take care, y'all.
Take care.